Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Grr! Episode number 462 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse is coming your way. Steve Wellings with us, Andy Patterson, Danny Young, Ozzie Smith. I'm your host, Matt DiGianardo. We are one day removed from what was most likely the end of Amir Khan's career. A man who was probably less than the sum of his parts, but gave us some damn fine fights as he once again got battered around the ring. This time with not much drama involved, not much question how it was going to go, with the first round basically setting the tone for the fight. Kell Brook being patient, having his way as he dominated the former 135 and 140-pound champion over 6 lopsided rounds before the refs stepped in and showed mercy upon Amir Khan before Khan could touch the deck and make your dear host some money, son of a bitch. But anyways, it was definitely a fun event. Not the most exceptional undercard, but Oz, man, he was. You got to say that Amir Khan is done, and it's hard to judge Kell Brook off of that because who did he fight?
Yeah, I agree. I think Khan knows his career's time's up as well. When he came out after the fight, which I thought was he performed admirably, carrying out his media duties. You know, how many times do we see fighters get beat and run away and don't speak to the media? But he fronted it up. It was still probably a hurtful loss, given that the rivalry he's had with Kell Brook, but it was a shadow of what Amir Khan was in the ring. He said the love for the sport isn't there now. He has nothing else to prove. It was a fight from where I understood why he took it. It was a massive, massive payday for him. And ultimately, he has nothing left to prove now. A fantastic fighter is what he was. I don't understand the hate Amir Khan gets. I saw a tweet last night saying that arguably he was probably the best British fighter of his generation. Completely agree with that. He was a fantastic fighter, always brought excitement. Probably peaked a bit early in his career, if anything, wasn't he? What was he, world champion by 21, 22, something like that? Had some memorable performances. For Kell Brook, it is a big win for him in a sense of, the rivalry, but it's not a bigger win from what it could have been, had it have happened in the peak. I agree with what you say. We don't really know what Brook has got left. I mean, I thought Khan looked very ropey from pretty much the first round. Punch resistance gone. He did well to stay on his feet more so. But Brook looked okay. I don't think the issue with Brook is I don't think we'll ever see him at 147. Last night was, technically at light middleweight. It was at 149. I've no interest in the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. I don't know where that's come from. Eubank Jr. is just a parody now, calling out the likes of Kell, Brook. I mean, fuck off, Eubank. Go and chase the 160 world champions, not calling out people who are a lot smaller than you, the likes of, Conor Benn, Kell, Brook. I mean, fuck me. For Brook, I'd happily see him retire because, again, what else does he have left to prove? Unless he can get, a manufactured world title shot next up, which I understand for him taking. But aside from that, I don't think, he has anything left to prove. What a way for him it'd be to go out on, a career, on a high like it was. But yeah, great atmosphere last night. I thought the fight was fairly decent, actually. It wasn't, the highest of quality, but I think it helped that they were at similar levels in their career. I thought the stoppage personally was a tad early. I thought, I know it's all right saying, Khan was behind in the fight, but he looked fairly okay. I am talking, had it gone on another 30 seconds and he might have taken another couple of punches. That saying, there was no complaints from Khan on the stoppage. Brook was well up. And yeah, a fight that I think we all wanted to see. Did we probably expect to see it after everything happened? Probably not. It did. As I said, it wasn't the fight it could have been. Am I glad it's happened? I don't know, really. It'd have been a disappointment not to see it, but sometimes, you want to see these fights at the peak. But overall, it was a massive night for British boxing. It sold out in 10 minutes. It was packed last night. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see certainly what Kell Brook does. As for Amir Khan, he can walk away from the sport. He's got his health. He's made an absolute fortune. And yeah, I think the term legend is somewhat overused. But in describing Amir Khan and British boxing, I think he is a British legend.
That's definitely high praise. High praise. I'm going to take it a different direction here. Danny Young with us. Danny, what did you think of last night's production of Bambi on Ice?
Yeah, you could call it that, I suppose. It was entertaining while it lasted, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, like we all said, and it was good post-fight pod last night, gents. But yeah, it wasn't the fight we all wanted. However many years ago it was when we was calling for it. But it was good as long as it lasted. It was, it was very one-sided. I get that, but it gave us something, and it whether we like it or not, it dragged the casuals in and they were lapping it up. So, but yeah, it was, it was just strange because I almost expected a little bit more from Khan, but it didn't really come. And obviously, Brook hurt him with at least one eye-catching shot in every round. And I think it's all right with people talking about Khan's fast hands before the fight, but fast hands mean nothing if you've got no spite in those fast hands. And obviously it just goes to show that Brook pretty much took whatever Khan had to throw at him. But yeah, no, it was again, I enjoyed it. I don't want to see Khan again. I don't want to see him rolled out ever again. I concur with Ozzy actually. Amir Khan did a lot of good stuff for UK boxing, obviously gold medal Olympian and all the rest of it. Just needs to go home and sit with his family and just have his feet up and enjoy life now. As for Kell Brook, on the other hand, I mean, obviously there's talks of Eubank and there's there's various other people trying to sort of tag into, Conor Benn and all this rubbish. But there's one fight we haven't mentioned, gents, and I'm a little bit disappointed. There's the unfinished business with a guy called Triple G. So you never know. But yeah, jokes aside, it was entertaining, all right, and kind of really don't want to see either of them box again. I think let them move on now, and that's it. Call it a day.
I think that Kell Brook's going to be fighting again. I think.
Oh, he will. Yeah, he definitely will. It's just like you boys called it last night. The Eubank fight makes sense because it's an easy one to make, and Kell Brook get a nice little sum from that. He'll probably lose it, I would say, maybe. I don't know actually. It all depends. But you'd probably put Eubank Jr. as a favourite anyway. But But yeah, that'll be that. I can only see that as the only logical fighter to take. I can't see anywhere else. Like he's shot at welterweight, so why would he go and fight at welterweight? You know, he can't make that weight, and when he does, he looked terrible the last time he made that. So yeah, it's got to be Eubank or hang him up, basically.
I disagree. I don't think the Eubank fight is ever in question. He's come out and said if it happens at 155, it can happen. Eubank's not getting down to 155 whatsoever. But for Brook, I don't think he even needs to. He doesn't need to fight Chris Eubank Jr. to prove anything.
Oh no, he doesn't. Actually, but no.
But I was going to say,
money, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, he got an absolute fortune last night, and ultimately, I don't think he gets paid as much to fight Eubank than he does Amir Khan.
What did he get last night? Do we know?
Pair of them got, well over a couple of million apiece. I think it was. Purses were massive. But no, I don't know, me. I think his name still carries some clout. Certainly, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'd like to have seen the Liam Smith fight for Brook. But I think that's out the equation now with Smith going to be fighting Vargas. But I wouldn't be shocked if he potentially fights somebody like a Tim Tszyu in America. A big, Zhu's he'll be having his debut over there. Who are they going to look for? I don't see them getting, a big name American to fight Zhu. But maybe bring him over for someone like, Kell Brook over there. They can pay him handsomely. And Brook will probably fancy his chances. But that saying, we don't know what Brook is thinking. I think any boxer sometimes that when they get a big win like that, you feel like, I can keep on going. But he might already have it in his head that, it's time to hang the gloves up. What win can I get that will allow me to walk out the sport on such a high?
I think your call about Tim Tszyu, it's a good one. But if I'm Tim Tszyu, that's favouring me rather than Kell Brook, because that's my kind of like entry level name to kind of put myself on the American map, so to speak. But I can't see that one favouring Brook at all.
He's tied up as well, isn't he, with the WBO in America and all that?
Yeah.
Him saying that he'll step in to fight Charlo, though, that's gangster as fuck. I'd like to see that.
I like that, Matty. That appeals to me, mate. Definitely.
I doubt that Charlo takes that, though, because that's all risk, no real reward on that one. I mean, other than the hardcores and the people who fondly remember the last name Tszyu, that's going to be basically meaningless, unfortunately. And that's a shame, because that's a fight. I think Charlo's there for the taking, personally. If Castaño was just a little bit of a bigger puncher, would that fight have been close? Don't think so.
Charlo beat Tim Tszyu right now, Matty. Come on.
Oh, Steve, you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. Andy, do you have faith in Kell Brook fighting again? And how do you think that he would fare against the champions at 154?
Well, that's Charlo and Castaño, isn't it? So,
yeah, there's interims and shit like that, though. And go down the list.
Well, as Danny said, look, I think we can all agree that he's shot at 147. I've seen someone in the YouTube chat there mention about putting him in with boots. I think it was yourself, just to sacrifice him, whatever. And that. But
that was me.
Was it you, mate? Savage. Look, if he's going to fight again, I'm also in agreement with Danny in that as well. It's probably the Eubank fight. I don't think he needs to fight again. I mean, he's earned some good money. He's had the Golovkin fight. He's had the Crawford fight, Spence, and new last night. He must be racked up a good few million. So, if he's going to keep fighting, it's going to be at 154. It depends. Again, it's about ambition at the end of the day. What does he want to do? Does he want to have a run at a world title, or is it just about getting the biggest fights possible, biggest exposure, and the biggest paydays? I don't know, mate. Outside the UK, sorry, and that he's not really much a draw. I don't think. I mean, all he's going to get brought into America to do is just, as a body, basically, a used name. Someone who's look,
he's not going to do that for less than under seven figures. Though it's got to be a money fight if he's going to say, "Yeah, fuck it."
It's going to be, and as I say, if he's going to fight like say Charlo, for example, or that, I don't know what he's going to command for that type of fight. I don't even know how much business that fight would do. The thing I worry about really is that fight kind of flattered to deceive him last night. I mean, he was dominant, right for the off. Once he landed that jab and had Khan dancing. It was just a matter of when it was going to end. He was fighting a faded, washed up Khan we know this, who's always had a problem with the chin. He might take that as a wee bit kind of false confidence, say, right, okay, I've got, because he's saying himself it was easy last night. So if he's in there with a guy like Castano, Charlo, guys who are near the prime, Tim Zhu, for example, it's a hard one. He's had his injuries and that as well. He's clocked up his miles. He's got his money. I think he should just walk away now. Really, Can she do the same? I wouldn't be surprised to see Can maybe pop up in a few Dubai shows, maybe white collar, YouTube type status things. Save money. How Floyd does it. Brook, I don't know what he does, to be honest with me, but I think if he's going to keep fighting, I think the Eubank fight would probably be more ideal. As I say, again with Danny, and I agree that it's probably easier to make because of the Sky connection and that. It comes down to the figures and finances at the end of the day and that as well. Who's going to be the A side. Weight's going to be an issue in that as well. I kind of see Brook going to 160. And I don't know if he's got enough clout to start, demanding rehydration clauses, for example, and that. So who knows? So to answer the question, mate, yeah, I could see him fighting again, but it would need to be for the right person, I think. But a bit like Keith Thurman, basically.
I don't think he'd fight welterweight again, though.
No,
I just don't. And I think Keith's going to be competing at welterweight. I mean, he still made it easily. He weighed in, 145.5? So I don't think he's moving up anytime. I think Keith's probably career welterweight on that one.
If you look at the names at 154, is he going to, Brook going to want to have a couple of fights and try and get himself into contention? He's not even ranked. Hasn't he fought in over 2 years? So is he going to want to put himself through another, ring or a training camp and that and try and get a world title fight? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I do know. The Dr. FMG throwing us in $30.99. Hey, is that American dollars, Steve?
Australian.
Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He says, are rumors true that Dom Ingle drank Dillian White's B sample? Great show, lads.
Took his pen as well, I think, didn't they?
Oh, man. Good Lord. Hey, thank you very much for that fantastic super chat there. We appreciate you, Dr. FMG. Steve, we had a good long chat about this one last night. So why don't you give us your I'll give you final say on Khan, Brook, where they're going from here, just your general thoughts, and we'll move down the card.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add that I added into last night's post-fight pod, which you can find in all the usual places. But I laughed afterwards, as Ozzy mentioned, when Khan said he'd lost his love for the sport. He could have told us that before the fight. But, I mean, obviously he's been in exciting fights for years, Amir Khan. I said this last week. I said it before. He's been must-see TV. Don't begrudge him his moment. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's a nice guy. He's made a lot of dosh. But that silver medal in Athens, that was 2004. Seems a lifetime ago now. He connected with the British public. He became a household name. I'm not sure what he'll turn his hand to now. You'd be afraid what he'd turn his hand to, I suppose. But he's, my mom knows him. People on the street know him. He's been a decent ambassador for the sport. Went over to America and that, and has always given us exciting nights. Usually with the poor fella getting hurt or wobbled or rocked or knocked out. But he's always, as he did last night, given his all. I think it was a shame it was so one-sided. I mean, I picked Khan to win. You know what my picks are like. I was expecting a fun firefight, but Khan's greatest attribute last night was his toughness, his guts, because he lacked the speed, the balance. He couldn't attack the body. He looked like someone who'd been out for a couple of years. He just hung in there, held on for dear life, and he tried to land the haymaker right hand right up until the ref stepped in. He just seemed like he was firing back to land that big shot to try and even things up. And Kell, for the most part, landed his shots nicely. Looked relatively composed, not all the time, but I think he'll carry on, Brook. I'm not sure he'll fight Matty, but there's currency attached to his name again as far as the casual UK audience is concerned. So I imagine he'll get another chance, but fair play to Amir. Hang them up now, go and do something else. Kell, get a couple more shots. Not sure what direction, probably north, maybe 154, 160. But yeah, overall, too one-sided to be fun for me, which was a shame. And the undercard, as you'll get onto, was a bit of a letdown as well, but Amir at least can hold his head up high. Maybe a little bit too high last night because he kept getting clocked, but a good scrap. But one-sided.
I was just going to add to what Steve was saying there, Matty. Sorry, that about Khan coming out being a star. What was really probably built his career very early doors was that he was actually on terrestrial television for the first
ITV, right from the Kinderland fight. Do you remember he lost to Kinderland and they had a rematch, didn't they, somewhere in the north of England, and he beat him on like a dinner show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was in Bolton. I think it was a pro-am card. I think Khan was actually the one topping it eventually. It was his last amateur. I think it was even Kinderland's last amateur fight in that as well. It says, I think all the way up to I forget, was it Willie Lemon fight? Who did they fight before he fought Prescott? Because that was in box office. So I think every fight up to the Prescott fight, I think, was possibly on terrestrial television, including his Commonwealth title wins.
He fought guys like Gary St. Clair, didn't he? And wasn't it Martin Christensen, the little Danish fella? Was that Hatton? I can't remember.
Somebody else. Eugene Fagan. Was
that Michael
Gomez. Fagan was the comeback fight after Prescott, wasn't he?
Oh, was it?
Christiansen.
Was it Christensen? There you go.
Well, I would like to thank I'd like to thank Ricky Gravel for throwing in 449 into the super chat. He always does this. Half of me thinks like that Rob has like some sort of a mob over him and he's like paying us every week or something like that for protection. I don't know how that works out. I just know that it always goes through, and we appreciate you, Ricky. And also Matthew Russell threw us in a 5 spot in there as well. Matthew, we appreciate you as well. We have quite a few in the chat today. I'm sorry if I miss anybody here. We got Chris Mason back in there. Good to see you, Chris. We got Deej. He's got, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 E's in there. So there you go, Deej. Michael
More
Thompson.
E's than Ricky Gravel, you would imagine.
I seen his picture for last night, man. He's gunning like anything.
We got Chris Butler in there, Cedric Sniff, Vaults UK, Mark Pritchard, Josh Ford, MJ, Tom Salisbury, Against the Ropes, Tombo Jones, Asif Ali, Richard Wetton, Ryan Pettit, Crobert 79, Grime P, Johnny Paint Tallywhacker Nelson, the PRFMG, Nothing for Something, Ricky Gravel, Ryan Ormerod, Nathan Ford, Matthew D'Souza, Stephen Hill, Matthew Russell, and Chinny. We appreciate every one of you in there. We appreciate those throwing into the super chat very much. You guys are the reason why we do this every week. If there was nobody to listen to us, I don't know if we'd anyone would talk to us. Hey, and look at that. Chris One Shot Lovejoy threw us in a 79 pence one there. So thanks for that one, Chris. Like I said,
ban him, Matty, ban him.
Everybody, everything counts. Everything counts, damn it. So, and I'll tell you what really counted. You want to talk about the amazing story that we saw yesterday, Oz? Natasha Jonas moving up 3 weight divisions to get a second round stoppage. That was incredible. Freaking fist of stone on here. I mean, she's
nobody in boxing can do that. By the move up in 3 weight divisions, only Natasha Jonas can do that stuff. That's real gangster stuff.
Henry Armstrong level shit, man. That bitch Chris Namus didn't know hit her.
Henry Armstrong, can I just say, held the world title at featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight all at the same time. And he defended his welterweight title, then went down and defended his lightweight title, and then 2 months later went back up to welterweight. So she's got a bit to go before she gets to Armstrong levels, but I get the point.
Then he fought heavyweight at some point too, didn't he?
I don't think he went as high as that. I'm pretty sure he went to middleweight. He fought Sugar Ray in the 40s, but I don't think he went above middleweight.
Anyways, Oz, your thoughts on this legendary performance?
Oh, I wouldn't describe it as legendary. As I said, the word is massively overused, and I do sense the sarcasm. But no, I tell you what, it was a fucking impressive finish. It was a big shot, that, and you know, Jonas always comes across really well. You know, she bounced back after that when she got chinned off the murderer, Vivian Obernoff, and then she's now back in, came back. You know, had a very close fight with Katie Taylor. Didn't get the result on the card against Terry Harper. I don't know how long she'll hang around for at 154, to be honest. You know, come on, she was fighting at super featherweight and she's now at 154. That's a big step up in terms of weight, but who knows? I mean, technically, you know, she's got a belt now. Maybe the GWOAT will come down to 154 and we'll see Jonas against the GWOAT. You know, Shields can move around those weights as well. The rest of the undercard, I thought was garbage, actually. You know,
the Ray knockout was good. That uppercut was smoking.
Yeah, and you know, like you can see decent knockouts, but it doesn't mean the good fights. And I guess that was one good thing, is that we didn't have to sit through while the undercard was garbage. At least it wasn't tiresome from where they all went to bloody points.
Levels of promotions card there last night, by the way. That was horrendous.
Yeah, but you know what? Ricky Gravel put it in the chat. 5 million for Khan last night, 3 million for Kell Brook. You know, so you got 8 million tied up in your main event. it's tough to find even, some remotely decent money for the undercard.
Well, and I don't think they
thought-
maximized the gate either. I mean, if they sold that out was it hours or just a couple days they sold that out? I mean, they clearly could have gone to a bigger venue and gotten
I'm not
some more
sure
than gate.
though, mate. I mean, 20,000, it's sold out like it does, but where do you go realistically? Because you can't do an outdoor stadium in the UK at the moment, obviously because it's winter. And then indoor wise, you're looking at the Millennium, Wembley with the roof.
Door one would have been fun last night, Aussie, with the weather, wouldn't it?
God,
Man,
I know. My God. But the rest of the card, I thought Schofield, Jermaine Brown, solid English level title fight. Brown was a worthy winner, completely outclassed Charlie Schofield. Couple of, debuts. There was one for Big Fraser Clarke, which, fuck me, his opponent, my God, Jake Darnell, wow. So the story behind it, I mean, if you've not heard the story about Darnell, I don't know where you've been. You must have been living under a rock. But Darnell hadn't made his pro debut yet. He's lost on the white collar circuit and been knocked out on the white collar circuit. Has just got his BBBFC license and was at the open workout at the Trafford Centre on Wednesday, trying to get a ticket for the show. 24 hours later, his manager secured him the Fraser Clarke fight. Bizarre that the board allowed this to happen. It's a joke. I mean, Fraser Clarke is fresh off winning a bronze medal at the Olympics, and he's literally fighting a fat man from Blackpool with no real experience and has been banged out in the white collar. That saying,
a fat man from Blackpool has me laughing for some reason, Oz. I don't know why.
It's facts. But the bookies completely messed up because they took no look at this guy whatsoever and had Fraser Clarke over evens. So I got it at 6-4. It opened up at 7-2 to win in the first round, which is insane. And Clarke did what he did, quite right, stopped him. But I'm surprised the board even sanctioned that. And I do question Boxer. I would rather have seen, a smaller card, but get Clarke, Galal Yafai turns over next week and he's fighting a 10-rounder straight away. Clarke shouldn't be faffing around, having 4-rounders and stuff like this, 6-rounders. Joe Joyce did it right. He turned over and fought Ian Lewison as a pro debut. They should have been looking at someone, like Jay McFarlane from Scotland. Someone like that, don't get me wrong.
These
Clarke
guys need to have balls. You're right. Katsita's fought a 12-rounder in his first fight. You have some nuts, man, and they have extensive pedigree.
Exactly. So what is the point? I mean, he's not young either, Clarke. I think he's around 30. So he's not got time, to build like 3 or 4 years. And then go through the levels. So I hope they step him up next. They should keep him active. And realistically, for me, they should be looking at like, an English level, British level, basically like a Dave Allen, next up, that sort of level for Fraser Clarke. The rest of the card, the Azim brothers look decent. Adam Azim got a very good win over Jordan Ellison. Ellison's a lot better than his record suggests. He might have lost 35 times, but all them, certainly weren't worthy losses. And he's far better than that record. But that is life in the away corner. But no, I think it's fair to say that the undercard was garbage last night. But when you've got so much money invested in a main event, it's rare you're going to see, a very good undercard as well. And the one bonus is a lot of them got banged out fairly quickly. So it wasn't that tiresome. But yeah, that's the rundown, really. And I mean, Boxer aren't doing it half-hearted, are they? Because they've gone on from having Amir Khan and Kell Brook the weekend gone to next week. They've got Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall headlining in Glasgow as well. So, yeah, Boxer doing big things with the main events, not so big with the undercards.
I'd like to thank Joe Burns before we forget because he threw this in here just a minute ago, more than a few minutes ago. He threw 449 into the super chat, and he says, should make Chris Burns versus Kell Brook. Sounds like a good family grudge match there, trying to throw him into the deep end. Let's see here. And then Chilo 35 throwing 899 in, says this is to fix Fat Dan's chair. Man, have you seen inflation right now and the lack of immigrant labor? I don't think we're going to get that chair fixed, Chilo. I don't think we're going to get that chair fixed. But
Hang
thank
on,
you for the
Matty.
$8.99.
Slight plot twist in between. Joe Burns throwing in. Chris Burns, his nemesis, also threw in a 179 as well. So it's heating up between the two Burnses there again, Matt.
Man, I tell you what, and I like that they take their wrath out on each other through monetary contributions to us. This is it's a fantastic win. Chris Burns saying, "Evening, gents, weekly donation." Jade can't. Well, we all know what I think he said, but anyway, that's another discussion. That and pizza, sons of bitches. Some things just get under my skin. I tell you what, Chris, we thank you for that. Joe, we thank you as well. We do appreciate all of you guys helping out. And there were some folks last night for our post fight that got in there as well, and we really appreciate all that. Our fans are very, very loyal, and we appreciate each of you very much. Danny, why don't you give us your thoughts on the undercard there, sir? And God, I think Andy and Steve, we all gave our opinions yesterday. I don't know if we need to go any further ourselves.
Yeah, I ain't going to go too heavy on it, to be honest with you, mate. I think I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on women's boxing, but I almost think that's embarrassing, the fact that someone can move up in it so much in weight to go and fight someone for a world title and then knock that person out. I'm with Oz. It was a good finish, but if that's what women boxing is going to be, just people bouncing around all over the place just because that's when they can pick up a belt or whatever, it's not good enough, really. And I just think that, like, I don't want men's boxing to end up going that way either, because like I know you get people that bounce around a couple of weights. I mean, you had the young lad the other week. All right, fair play. He went up and did a really good job, but like and took an opportunity. But I mean, is that what people have got to do now to get, one, a payday, and two, to try and get a belt? I don't know, but yeah, it was embarrassing, I thought. And then obviously I just want to thank Jake Darnell, because obviously if a fat lad from Blackpool can get on a pay-per-view, then there's a fat lad from South East London sitting right here that will take some money to get on a pay-per-view. So I'll take that if it's available. But yeah, the rest of it's not very good. And like, so luckily enough, we got an entertaining main event. But I won't say any more than that, mate.
And I think they could always use a 4-round punching bag. If you can keep your hands up and take these guys some rounds.
That's me, mate. I'll sign up for that.
Yeah. What happened to when they used to do? Didn't they used to do 6-2s over there sometimes for early in guys' careers?
Yeah, they used to. You don't see that nowadays so much.
No. Interesting though. So, well, that was what we saw over in the UK yesterday. What we saw stateside yesterday was Jaime Munguia picking up his first stoppage victory in quite a few years, I think, over Demetrius Ballard, taking him out in the third round. Honestly, Steve, this is I mean, it's 3 rounds. It's tough to stay. Ballard doesn't have a deep resume, but this is about the best that I've seen Munguia look in 3, maybe 4 years-ish, getting in there. Maybe his work with Eric Morales is really starting to pay off.
Yeah, I would imagine so. They've obviously got something going. They're building him. They keep connecting him to the big names while not necessarily putting him in against the big names because he's not ready. But they're doing their job, building him up, keeping him in the conversation, attaching him to the Golovkins, the Canelos, even Benavidez's, whoever it is, even though he's not ready for them. Thought it was a strange fight. He took a little bit of time to get going. He'd obviously come in like an absolute skeleton, and then he was massive. He can clearly punch. Ballard did okay the first round or so. Jab to the body, moved nicely, got in a few good shots. But as soon as Munguia let the shots go, I think it was the second round, he hit him with a right hand at the top of the head. Ballard was rocking around. And of course, I'd looked at the time and it was 25 minutes and it was about 18 minutes in. And I thought, here we go. He's going to knock him out soon. And he did. Just let the shots go. Crowd having a great time. They said there was 15,000 or something in there. Everyone at commentary ringside having a great time. Why not just keep it going for now? I suppose Oscar selling out these arenas, building up Munguia slowly, get him a shot at some kind of WBO middleweight. I think Andrade's moving up, isn't he? So Munguia could be ready to fight Alim Kanuli. I'm done with the politics. I don't even know what's going on there. But Ballard, as expected, got bombed out after a pretty decent start. But looked like they were getting on okay over there. And I've seen a bit of the undercard as well. Torres, as you mentioned, off air, looked decent. That was a bit of a banger against Viedas. But it was all about the main event. And Munguia got the job done. And hopefully they'll move him up soon.
Yeah, and it's a shame he might not get a chance at a title at 160 because he was he had the title at 154, but he might have already outgrown the weight class, give or take, on this one, which does open up some interesting fights at 168. It's unfortunately, because of this, that, and the other, the politics being we might not see it, but I think that Munguia against David Benavidez, that'd be a hell of a good fight, man. You talk about punches thrown in that one. War.
I didn't see Munguia go up to 68, to be honest with you, mate.
You think he's going to keep draining himself down like that? Kind of like Chavez Jr. did for
he was draining himself to make 154, and his handlers wrung every ounce out of him for that WBO title that he held. What was it, something like 7 to 8 defenses? The one in Fantastic, for example, he's looking far thicker set now that he's kind of grew into the weight. I like him to a degree. He's aggressive. He punches hard. He throws a lot of shots. He gets tagged a fair bit. He's got that Mexican grit about him and that. But at the same time, I think we're going to see 70-0 record before we actually even see him fight somebody who's even top rated at this point.
Kind of like Zurdo.
That's at 68 though, mate.
No,
I mean,
you really think literally he's going to get that high? Like literally?
Who?
That you're going to get? He's going to get to 60, 70 fights before.
No, I'm joking. Obviously,
Okay.
It's the old Mexican way, though, Andy, isn't it? The old Mexican way. They used to do that.
He's constantly fighting all the time. It says, if you look at his record, I've not got his record in front of me just now, but if you look at his 154 reign at the WBO champ, he was fighting every other 3 or 4 months. And obviously quite a few of those fights went a distance, and he's looking skeletal on the scale. So as I say, it really kind of runs them out a wee bit. He's got himself into contention, number one contender. I like to see Alb Canuli fight. Andrade's moving up for one fight, apparently. Still not made any decision on vacating the belt unless things have changed since then. You got Liam Williams kicking about. I think he's got a fight arranged. Islam's hanging about. Falcao. So yeah, there's not really much reason for him to go up to 68 just now. Why would he? He's not going to get the Canelo fight. And as I say, I think at this point he still fits the weight pretty perfectly in that. So yeah, I think he'll stay there. He'll remain active until he gets his chance, I believe, and that will be a WBO title. So I think he might. Again, it really depends what Andrade does. If Andrade vacates, I think we'll get the order for Munguia against Alb Canuli, which I think is a fantastic fight. Actually, that's violence, that one.
Yeah, that could definitely be a good scrap. Oz, where are you thinking that Munguia goes from here? It's, I guess, I mean, they have mentioned the Demetrius Andrade fight, and it's Golden Boy and Eddie both working with the Zone. In theory, they could make that happen.
Yeah, but I thought Andrade was going up to 168, so therefore I don't see how that happens now. I don't know. I'd like the Eubank Jr. fight, actually. I know we were talking about him before, but I think that's, that'd be a very entertaining fight. It'd be decent. I do wonder, I don't know how long he's got left at 160, because I thought he looked terrible, absolutely terrible on the scales. But then, the best part, 24, 32 hours, and he looked completely different, and it bared no impact in the ring, and it certainly didn't, affect his performance. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm just looking at the rankings, and we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Middleweight is dire. There's just no depth. There's no real big names, available. I mean, there's one glaring name that stares out again, and it's Andy's favourite fighter, Vinny Fagan Butts. In at 11. But yeah, I mean, you've got a Charlo fight. I honestly don't know where they'll go with him, to be honest. I'm really not sure, because he's... Well, actually, the WBO belt is now vacant, isn't it? Because Andrade has vacated it.
Has he?
Therefore,
Is he actually, though?
I thought he had.
I need to go back and double check. I'm sure I read a couple of weeks ago that he was going up for one fight and then he was going to make a decision because he could then come back down.
All right, because there's a purse bidding for him and Zach Parker next week, I think it is. But that's at 168, and that's to become mandatory for the 168 title. For me, if you're going fighting, like final eliminators at, a weight above, you have no right to hold on to that belt at all, because what you're going to do, it just holds it hostage. If they make it, if it does become vacant, perhaps the WBO might order Munguia against, is it Alian? Is it Alian Canuli?
Yeah, they're 1 and 2 right now in the rankings.
Yeah, so maybe they'll order that. Yeah, because realistically, what else is left? There's no real depth to it, or big name fights that that you can see happening, unless he decides to go up to 168 potentially. But you're right, the Andrade fight would be perfect. It's in-house, same network. But with Andrade talking of going to 168, I think that's any talk of that fight is done and dusted.
Felix Cash is number 7 in the WBO rankings at 160. I find that surprising.
Sam Egginton is ranked number 10 with WBC at 160.
You're joking. Oh my god.
See, that's the fight. I think that's the kind of fight I think he'll take, because I don't know about you. So he's 25 years old, right? He's nearly at 40-0. I think we're going to see him in boxing some fairly mediocre people until he gets to, at least to about 30 years of age, and then he'll start fighting names. I think that's the way he's going to go, because I don't know. I think they've been very cautious about who he's fought up to this point. And I don't. He was tight at the weight at 154, and then he moved up, and he's tight at the weight again at 160. I think he's got to go up, and I think he'll go up, and he'll have 3 or 4 fights against some names that are just sort of like either past it or just people that we know, and then he'll start challenging some names to try and boost his resume up. But yeah, other than that, I just think that's what he's going to do. I think he's just going to hang around a little bit and wait for an opportunity to fight a bigger name when he knows it's time to cash out.
You could actually see him fighting like a Chudinov or something like that next.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Those kind of people with maybe former belt holders and things like that, just so it looks like a fairly decent name, but it's a kind of there's no risk to any of those fights.
I wonder whether he'll be one of those guys, like Andy said, he might stay at the weight. Maybe he just crashed it this time, and it's not it could be an ongoing issue, but he could just crashed it, and then all of a sudden he's gone 7 or 8 fights at the weight, and we're like, well, hang on a minute, he was struggling a minute ago. You do see fighters like that. I wonder if he just got it wrong this time. Possibly.
Maybe.
I'm just looking at his record just now, so I've just pulled it up. So between winning the title in May 2018, and having his last defence in September 2019, he actually defended it 5 times. Liam Smith, Brandon Cook, Takeshi Inoue, Dennis Hogan, and Patrick Alotti. So, and he's done all that inside just over a year. 5 defences, his belt, making 154.
Which is good.
That's 5 training camps as well. Cutting the weight, having to put it back on, start again. It eventually takes its toll. And he's very active. He's only 25 as well, so he's finally probably finally grown into a man now.
Yeah, for the likes of the Charlos, Danny started doing that, then he would be happy enough. At least he fights.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I mean. Like, I always give props to people that keep him so active, and obviously COVID hasn't helped him. But you look down his list, and I think there was 1 year, and he had about 7 fights. I think it was in 1 year. That's incredible.
Oscar was like that early in his career as well. So
yeah.
So was Chavez.
Yeah.
If I'll tell you what, if I happen to see an image of him wearing pink Speedos while eating cereal, I might have some serious concerns about his future.
You're going to ask for a refund on the OnlyFans.
Just hope the S doesn't fall off.
There could be some parallels with Chavez Jr., but it's not been a problem where he's missing weight up to this point in time, and he's not he's not getting all sorts of favoritism his direction either. So I think we'll see how it goes. But man, I'm with Dan. I kind of think that his future is going to be at 168 pounds. I don't know how much longer he'll be at the weight. But that was a good card. If anyone gets a chance, I recommend watching the Diego Torres Jonathan Escobedo fight. That was a really solid scrap. I thought the scorecards were a bit too wide, although I did think that Torres nicked it there. Tucked it, Jesus Christ. 120. We had a featherweight fight also on that card with Rafael Espinoza stopping Ollie Laurel in the first round. He's at 18-0, 15 early, 6'1" featherweight. It could be an interesting guy to watch. What can you tell from watching the guy in the ring for a minute? But he does look to be like he is could be a killer. I mean, he is massive at that weight. So if anyone gets a chance, I think, that Torres Escobedo fight is worth your time. Espinoza is definitely worth seeing, and that's short. A really weird, crazy 3-round fight with William Zepeda and Luis Angel Vietas. Zepeda getting the stoppage in the 3rd round after being dropped himself earlier in the fight. He had a total of get 3 knockdowns against Vietas, and I believe there was a point deduction in there as well.
Yeah, do you know what's happening though, Matty, in that fight as well? They wouldn't clean the corner. The previous fight, they ended with water all in the corner. Nobody would clean it. So these two were flying about all over the place on ice skates, and I'm thinking, where's Fat Terry with the towel, man? Get the towel down and clean the fucking ring. I mean, that's why they were kept on falling over.
Vietas basically did the splits in the corner.
In actual fact, when Ballard went down in the main event, did you see that it's like the matting started folding up and all the rest of it?
Oh, I didn't see that. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was whoever did that was, it was a bit shitty, but yeah, it was all over the place.
On it, man.
That's it. Yeah, true.
But that was a crazy fight, Steve. But I'm interested in Zepeda. He has a punch. He's fun. He made a mistake, went down, got right back up. At the very least, the kid's entertaining. 25-0, 23 knockouts right now, I think. Hasn't really fought anybody yet, though. But he's young. He's young.
Yeah, but like you say, he's got a load of knockouts, but you never know with these guys. Is he a Ricardo Torres or a Frank Rojas? They come over with the big knockout streaks, and you never know where they're going to go. But he's been on Golden Boy cards before, so they obviously like the look of him. But yeah, between your Zepedas, your Torreses, your Escobedos, and all these, everything just merged into one for the undercard. So if they stick him in against somebody recognisable, I'll follow Zepeda with interest. But at the moment, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a lackluster on paper, but I will say that Torres Escobedo fight was definitely a worthy scrap for any boxing fan to check out. Definitely enjoyable. Cuts and blood. Also on Showtime, we had a card. Ended up being 2 fights on the telecast. I thought I tuned out for a second, but I only got 2. And you had Jermaine Ortiz. He did beat Nahir Albright. Albright, nice streak after losing his debut is over. Ortiz just looking quicker, sharper, shorter punches on the inside. It was the play-by-play was absolutely terrible on it, though. I was so disappointed in the commentary on that card. And but Steve, this is the one that stood out for me. You talk about a weird bunch of scorecards here. In the fight between Paul Kroll and Marquise Taylor, 77-75 for Kroll, 80-72 for Taylor, and a 76-76 draw for the split draw. I scored at 77-75 Taylor myself, being a little bit lenient towards Kroll in some of the later rounds. Man, I just think they got this one dead wrong, Steve. Miserable decision.
Yeah, it was a load of bollocks. Just putting the main event out the way. Excuse me. First of all, Ortiz against Albright. Ortiz won handily. There's nothing really more to add. I think you've covered it all. But this was a load of bollocks. This was. Kroll was obviously the favourite. Calls himself the Punisher. Looked a bit like James Kirkland. Just kept marching forward, throwing bombs all the time. That Taylor, I was impressed with him. I had it 79-73. I agreed with Farhood's card. The 80-72 to Taylor was pretty much spot on. He barely dropped a round. So I don't know where they come up with this bullshit 76 apiece. And then a 77-75 in Kroll's favour. This Bellew of the Week territory, man, that's a load of bollocks. There's no way Kroll should have got a draw or anything out of that fight whatsoever. Marquez boxed his ears off. So they need to be making a rematch for that. That was a bullshit scorecard of the weekend for me.
Yeah, it was a very tidy boxing performance from Taylor. He got the raw end on the cards. I do hope to see him again. He's not a big puncher. He punches just enough to make you respect him, though. But Paul Kroll, man, he needs to be back to the drawing board because for all intents and purposes, I will say that he lost on that one. Here's what I wanted, just a little side conversation here real quick. Oz, I thought this was really interesting. About a month ago when the odds opened up for Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano, they opened up with Taylor a slight favorite. Serrano was paying about $1.50 on the dollar, but now both of the services I use for bets have them at minus 110 and minus 112 respectively on that. They have bet it down to a dead even fight.
It doesn't shock me, really. I was surprised that if Taylor opened up as a favourite, because everybody I keep seeing talk about the fight, as Serrano was a big favourite. In the UK, Taylor is even money favourite. Serrano is 11-10. So, I mean, look, it's literally a coin flip, isn't it? But when is that? That's a little while off, that fight, isn't it? That's a couple of months away, isn't it?
30th of April, I think.
April 30th.
Yeah, so a long way away, yeah. But no, I mean, it happens, doesn't it? It doesn't take a lot to sway a market, particularly in a fairly niche sport like boxing. It's not like football or the NFL or anything like that. You know, money onto one fighter, you know, they'll cut the odds straight away. But no, it's, you know, from everything I've read up on it, I don't know a lot about Serrano at all. I just find it fascinating that she won belts at like 5 weights or something like that, starting as small as like, what was it, you know, like flyweight or something, and now she's up at, you know, or super fly, and now she's up at lightweight. I don't get it. It was like that fight you were talking about before, who just jumps up and down the weights for defending the belts. But no, it doesn't surprise me. It seems like it's a genuine 50-50. And from what I have seen, I'll probably watch a bit closer to the time, but it's Serrano's speed that will cause a lot of problems for Katie Taylor. So, yeah, big fight, selling well over there. You know, it is what it is, isn't it? It's a genuine 50-50.
It's just a shame it's not over 12 threes. Serrano tried to get that offered up, and Taylor actually refused herself. They didn't even need the sanctioning bodies or the athletic commissions to do it. Taylor opted for 10-2s or 2-10s or 10-2s, sorry.
It would, what's it called? Taylor would get stopped if it was 12 threes, 10 threes. I don't think she's got the engine to do 3-minute rounds at such a high pace. But I don't blame her for, you know, for saying no. Like, she's boxed 2-minute rounds, you know, in the pro ever since she's turned over as a pro. So why should she look to go to 10 threes for what is probably the biggest fight of her career? I've nothing against her turning that down at all.
You know, for me, it's just a shame, because I do think that this is for legitimately who is the pound for pound best fighter in women's boxing, and I think the stage deserves something more than 10-2s. That's neither here nor there. Something else, Andy, that I noticed that was interesting is that Julio Cesar Martinez is paying only about 6-5. He is close to even money for his fight with Roman Gonzalez.
Interesting.
They're sniffing. I don't know, man. That kid can punch, and he's definitely closer to his best years than Gonzalez's. But he is wide. He is wide.
I was going to say he's wide. He's raw and aggressive. He's got nothing. If he gets put in the back foot, what does he do? He can't fight in the back foot. So, if
you think. What do you think if you're taking Martinez? Do you think get some extra juice and go with the knockout? Do you think that if you really think he's going to win, that's the only way he can win is by knocking out Gonzalez? And if it goes to the cards, he's probably been outboxed.
I need to be a hell of a close fight, mate, for me winning the cards up, I think. I'm not saying, you know, nothing's impossible, to be honest with you. I mean, Jay Harris put him the distance, sorry, and Jay Harris took a wee bit of a beat, I think, toward the end of that fight. I just think,
I think Gonzalez beats him.
Yeah, I'm seeing Gonzalez wins as well, but I'm trying to think, you know, like what grounds we can get here as to how Martinez can get the win by stoppage. I know he's partly nuts, apparently, when he's coming up in weight. Decent puncher at flyweight. I really don't know, mate. I don't think so.
He's the bigger. I think you're looking at a little bit of a Rungvisai situation where he actually is, even though he's coming up a weight class, he is the naturally bigger guy, and he's a bit longer, and I don't know. I'm feeling it, Andy. I'm feeling it. But that probably means everybody should put their money on Gonzalez by knockout.
I don't think the height and reach will be much of an issue here. I think the guys are roughly about the same size. To be honest with you, I mean, the thing is with Rungvisai, he was an absolute mutant. He was a massive super flyweight. His legs, you can see it in his calf muscles, man, how much torque he was getting in those shots. Different beast altogether, mate. To be honest with you. As I say, I expect Martinez to put up a good fight. I just think it comes down to class at the end of the day, and I think even though he lost against Estrada and he looked fantastic against Yafai, I think Gonzalez has still got enough juice about him to do the business here. To be honest with you, but I think Martinez would make it interesting. Certainly, will make it a fight as such. But I just think the class and the those punches that he does on the inside, those wee hooks and uppercuts that he throws and that, if he's up against, at least if Choco's up against the ropes and that, I think he can fight off the ropes. He can parry shots, he catches shots, he moves back in an L shape and that, he gets on the jab, he can punch to the body and that. He's got decent power. That's the thing that at this point in his career, he's not really had big knockouts as such over the last few years. But it's an interesting fight, but I don't see Martinez winning by knockout. As I say, if it's a close fight, then yeah, he could maybe get a decision, but I don't think he wins by knockout.
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely a good one. Next week, we'll do our first predictions for our panelist yearly prediction league on that one. Started out with that one because I think that's a good fight. It's not just who's going to win, but the method of victory, I think, is an intriguing discussion as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. We'll discuss that one more in depth next week because that fight is rapidly approaching. And I know we got some questions here in the queue. Let's see here. What was the one that you wanted to take there, Steve? I forget.
Oh, yeah. It was a question from Joe Kennedy.
Sure.
It was about Canizales.
Yeah, let me throw that up there.
See here. Going to get you guys before you read it out, Matty. Just that German card, FYI, that German card that was on the show there last night. I was seeing you guys before the fucking show started. I put on the YouTube link and I see there's like 350,000 people watching this fucking German card. I'm like, how is this possible? And there's super chats flying in, €100, €50, €5. It was none of the Ricky Gravel level on what type of money we're talking about here. It was fucking big. It must be. I literally sat there for about 10 minutes just kind of like watching what's going on. And the chat's just like, it's like a fucking pinball machine just going round and round and round, all the money coming in. At one point, I gave up about €3,000 counting as to how much money was coming in there in the space of 10 minutes. I didn't realise it was a pro card, but there was YouTubers fighting that fucking card as well. So no one that was making fucking massive money there last night, just FYI. So I was kind of shocked.
Andy, we had about 31,000 in our chat last night, so we should have been doing numbers like that.
There you go. I think it was Joe Kennedy it told me last night, actually. I never realised it was YouTubers and that. So that's the reason why that card they ended up doing like over 250,000 views at one go. Fucking Jesus YouTubers.
Christ. Maybe what we need to do is an era card on YouTube of us fighting each other.
Yeah.
Joe Kennedy asking, how good was Orlando Canizales? And what would a fight with him and Inoue look like?
Yes, I'll take this one. Joe sent it in to me during the week. Funnily enough, actually, as I said to Joe when he sent it in, just a couple of weeks ago, I was rewatching Canizales' 2 fights with Billy Hardy. People might remember him. He was a Sunderland fighter, fought Nazim. I think he got knocked out in a round by Nazim.
But anyway, IBF champ.
He was certainly. And Canizales, I was too young to remember him at the time, but I've been back and watched him since. Canizales was a serious fighter. He was a puncher. He's not stylistically dissimilar to Inoue, which would make it a really interesting fight. Bouncing up and down on his feet, cracking left hook, massive right hand, real power puncher. Never went back in straight lines, always side to side movement, head bobbing up and down, slipping and sliding in and out. Really, really good fighter. Him against Inoue would be a cracking fight. So I don't know where Joe plucked that one from, but it'd be a brilliant fight. Very similar fighters, both big bangers. It's difficult because Canizales has been and gone. He's had his fights. He had 50, I think it was about nearly 60 fights. Ended up losing a few towards the end, as they tend to do. Inoue, we still don't know how good he's going to be, which we're not going to know for a long time if Bob Arum and Top Rank are going to keep hold of him for the foreseeable future. But that'll be a cracking fight. At the moment, Canizales proved more, I suppose. But Inoue, he's 3-4 weight world champion. it's a difficult one to choose. I don't know if Andy, you see much of Gonzalez, but I
Yeah,
tell
I
you
have.
what, technically and punching wise, he was a top fighter, man. That would be a really good fight.
Really good fight. I was just going to just chime in there briefly, mate, for anybody who's
Yeah.
not seen the fight. Probably one of the last great 15-round fights, actually. Or it actually ended in the 15th round, actually. Is Gonzalez against Kelvin Seabrook's first fight.
Oh yeah, they fought twice, didn't they? Them two.
Yeah, the first fight was tremendous. An absolute bloodbath, mate. And Gonzalez knocked him out in the 15th round. That and Holyfield, Calwee's probably classes like the last two great 15-round fights towards the end of that 15-round era. But yeah, Billy Hardy, I do remember him. He was IBF champ. Was it super bantamweight?
Bantamweight, I think he was.
Was it bantamweight? Aye. So yeah, Gonzalez was really good fighter, mate. Really underrated. I think he even fought Paul Gonzalez. Was I think he was Olympic gold medalist, possibly.
Yes, Gonzalez won. Wasn't he one of the lower weight ones out of was it the class of '84 or one of
I think so.
The American years?
Yeah, possibly, mate. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm trying to remember what other names. He fought Bones Adams.
Clarence Bones Adams, who went on to have those two great fights with Paulie Ayala.
Yep. So really good fighters. If you've not seen those fights, especially the Kelvin Seabrook's first fight, get on that one if you've got some free time.
Also, Matty, just to lower the tone a little bit, in 1993, Gonzalez had a no contest with a black South African fighter called Derek Whiteboy. So there's one for you.
That is so fucking beautiful. I don't even know how to put that into words. Thank you for that, Steve. Thank you very much for that one. We got some more questions in here. Let's see here. Dan says, question for the pod, maybe. You are a hot young prospect. They all want you. Who do you sign for? Same money offered. Boxer and Sky, Frank and BT, Hearn and DAZN. Dan would go with Sky. Who would you go for, Oz?
Hennessy and Channel 5. I don't know why that's been omitted from the what's it called from there. Big Mick, does things, but no. Only I don't know. They've all got the perks. I think Frank, from a prospect perspective, probably builds prospects quite well. Maneuvers, fighters into good positions. Hearn, less so really on a prospect. I mean, I think Hearn is better that when you want to go to that next level, from British and up above, and start to really build the profile. I think that suits his skills better. I couldn't, prospect-wise, I don't think he's had as many come through. Ben is probably, the glaring prospect that has come through with no, serious pedigree. And Boxer and Sky, while Sky aren't new to boxing, Boxer are. So it's tough to say, really. I mean, look at the fights they're putting on at the moment. The big names, headlining cards, not, and they've got some talent coming through, but it is a small roster. Tough for you. I don't know. They've all got the perks, but I think probably Boxer and Sky. I think, there's some good opportunities to fight on cards, and the Sky machine always works well. But where I was joking about Hennessy, I think as a prospect coming through, there's real value to fighting on terrestrial telly. And if they were more active, I'd say that, if you can be a prospect and start headlining cards relatively young, but on Channel 5 where you've got these massive viewing figures, it can't do you any harm.
The other option would be as well, I know it probably would be really hard in this day and age, but the question is, you are a hot young prospect, right? So, say you're Olympic gold medalist, you're the greatest thing since ever. I would try and stay. If it's me personally, I'm trying to stay a free agent like Sugar Ray Leonard did it. Try and cut the middleman out and just make yourself.
Get on Fight Zone, Andy. Fight Zone, man.
Yeah, I know,
get on
mate.
Fight Zone.
You know what I'm saying? If you can somehow cut out all the 10%ers, shall we say, you got to pay 10% here or whatever, and then that's what I would try and do. But I agree with what Ozzy's state of thinking there as well. if you can get a terrestrial TV deal, you need to remember a mixed track record. It's been fucking good. Carl Froch, Tyson Fury, Junior Witter, guys like that. Took them up to British and world level and that. So Mick Ken's what he's doing.
You'd have to be exceptional as well, wouldn't you, to be able to
Yeah.
do what you said from the start? I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have to be some prospect. Guys might do it later on in their career, like the way Canelo's done, but
Yeah.
you're talking like Leonard's and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because you really do need the foot in the door at some point. That I mean, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud that there, you need to be exceptional, as you say, mate. But I'm just saying it's another option. You know, try and maintain your freedom as much as possible, because you see what happens. You get fucking tied to TV deals. You can't fight X, Y, or Z because the ABC's fighting on fucking Showtime or whatever. Night, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a ball ache for like us fans trying to follow who's with who and who's the manager or who.
Danny, your last name is Young, but do you remember when you were hot? Who would you have gone with?
I kind of want to echo the boys there, because it's with it's fine having Sky and all the rest of it, but like you've got to have Sky these days, and I'm one of these people I've just binned it off. So I don't have Sky anymore. So I'd go down the route of Big Mick and the Channel 5 platform as a starting point, because like if I'm going to use obviously my own kind of like thoughts on it, like I'm now keeping an eye on the McKenna brothers, all because of what I see, like seeing them on Channel 5, on a Friday night, and that's almost like you want a starting basis. It's good going to Sky and all that, and DAZN and all that, but you look at how we shit on people like Campbell Hatton and that, because they're on these big platforms and sometimes propping up pay-per-views, and they're fighting absolute tin cans all the time. They're not fighting people of their own mobility, and they're getting like talked up like they're going to be the next world champion. Whereas obviously you go onto a Channel 5 event, you're never going to get like touted as the next big thing, and you can just gently progress until that time's right for you to move on and find a bigger and better promoter potentially. But yeah, I'm again, like I agree with Andy as well. Maybe a bit of a free spirit, float around, but I think as a starting point, terrestrial television wouldn't be a bad way to go.
All right. Let's see here. We got a couple more questions. Before we get to the next question, the fight that I did forget to touch on, Devin Haney remains the only person with a decision victory over Jorge Linares, as he was stopped by Abdullayev in the last minute of the last round in Russia. He gets back on track with another knockout defeat. But it was a good fight where Linares looked good the first half of the fight, and Abdullayev just took over in the middle part and slowly wore him down. And in the last round, he landed the right shots, and the ref stepped in and stopped it after there was a couple of knockdowns. I don't know if any of you guys want to touch on this one real quick. I know most of you just caught it in the little pieces.
I watched it, Matty. I'll jump in quickly. Classic Linares, really. It looked $1 million early on, letting the shots go. Never really hurt or buzzed Abdullayev at all. And I always thought when Abdullayev fought Devin Haney, I'm not saying he would have beaten him, but I always thought that he didn't give a great account of himself. I'd seen Abdullayev fight before the Haney fight, and I thought, he might do all right here, give Haney a few issues. And he gave a really meek performance, from what I remember. Ended up, he was getting beaten up. He might have ended up on a technicality, an injury or something, but I don't think he gave a full account of himself.
Put on a stool after 4, so I like that.
There you go. I thought more of him. I thought he was going to give more, and this was kind of the performance I was expecting. And he would give Haney a better go than he did, but he kept grinding away. The body shots were the key for me. He kept landing the body shots to Linares, and at about rounds 8 or 9, I noticed a few times he went to throw the shots downstairs. Linares didn't like the look of them or the feel of them, and he cross-armed his defense against his body, and that was when Abdullayev started moving the left hook upstairs, and he was catching him with that shot, then the right hand as well. I thought that if I hadn't have known the result from the guy saying last night, I would have thought Linares was going to see the ending out, but it was becoming one-way traffic, and then he got caught with that left hand at the end, just crumpled, got dropped another couple of times. Maybe a less touchy-feely referee would have let him carry on, but his face was busted up. He was getting banged about. Everybody knows before. He's got knocked out 6 times out of 7 now. The only person he's gone the distance with is Devin Haney. Whether that's a knock on Haney, some people will look at it that way. I don't know so much. I thought Abdullayev was really good. Ground at him, kept going at him, especially to the body. Just beat him up in the end with those big, massive left hooks. And it's a good win for Abdullayev, WBC eliminator. Who knows who the WBC champion is now? There's probably about 3 or 4 of them at the moment. But yeah, maybe some people will look unkindly on Haney for this result, given he's fought both of them. But I thought Abdullayev fought a really smart strategic fight, Andy.
It'll be funny if Abdullayev does get called for that mandatory position again, and fucking Haney's got a rematch on me. Shit.
Gents, why is
not going to pay for
Linares
that
still
one.
fighting?
Who?
Like, why is Linares still fighting?
World title eliminator, money in Russia. I suppose he's just taking the shots, isn't he?
You should become the king of the 8-rounders.
For whatever legacy he had, it's just diminishing now, isn't it? Like by getting.
To be honest, Abdullayev isn't a world level. To be honest with you,
no, that's what I mean. He's getting beat by people that are not, that are no means like world beaters, are they? And all right, yeah, he might be getting paydays by going away all the time now, but he's looking terrible and he's getting batters.
He's probably feeding his family in Venezuela on what he's making all over the place.
I mean, he could feed about 20 families off that money, couldn't he?
I agree to say, I thought he stayed in Japan. He's not married to a Japanese bird.
He's got the Tekken on the back of his shorts. That was when he first came through. I remember watching him on the Japanese cards, and offensively, he's $1 million coming up. The way he put his shots together, fantastic. But just had those fundamental, fatal flaws, didn't they?
Yeah, Manny Stewart loved him. Like his foot movement, his balance, his jab.
Yeah, class.
What was that fight? Remember, he got cut badly. It was one of his first obvious defeats, I'm sure.
Was it Sergio Thompson or one of them boys?
No, it was before that. It was Marco. It was DeMarco, I think it was. Beating him up. He was outboxing him, classy boxing, and he was gradually getting cut up. Nose got badly cut, and then eventually got stopped, and that just kind of basically got broken down. But that you could see his class. Like it just at the end, it just got beat out of him.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of him, he had Tekken on his trunks. I'd really like to see him take on Yoshimitsu.
Fucking shit too.
Anyways, for anybody who gets that video game reference, I appreciate you. I play few,
Going
but
back
that
to the
one was a killer.
Dreamcast era, Matty, Virtua Fighter.
Oh man, that game was a fucking killer. That was good times. But let's see here. Our good buddy Adam Baum set us in. Here's a question for the pod. If someone has rep of gassing early in his career with good training and coaching, how much can they expect to improve? Or is it like being chinny? You stay chinny all your career. I will never forgive Darren Barker for conning the fans and Eddie defending him.
Nigel Benn.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that one, Andy?
I'll go Nigel Benn. It's because the way you used to start fights. If you look at the Michael Watson one, for example, came out there all guns blazing and gassed out, and then got stopped on a jab. Went away, rebuilt. Question marks were about his resistance. But he went away, rebuilt, and never really, the gas tank was never really an issue after that, to be honest with you. So that was the first one that came into my head when I see a reputation for gassing early in his career. Ben was always the first one that kind of came to my head for that Michael Watson fight.
Oz, what are you thinking on this one?
I agree about the Darren Barker thing, but I didn't think that was more about gassing. I think his hips were shot to bits, weren't they? I certainly think it can improve. I think if you work at anything, and it's probably the style you've got as well. If you've got this fast-paced style, it's about honing it in a little bit, refining your style from where you don't unleash everything into the first 5 or 6 rounds and then you do blow out. It's about doing things at the right time. And that's where good training and coaching can come along. But I think in this day and age, with everything that's available, if you can't improve that, by doing, good diet, nutritionist, strength and conditioning. And a big thing as well is it might be weight. John Ryder's a prime example. That John is a completely different fighter at 168 to 160 because, the last pound or two can be the difference, from taking a hell of a lot out of you. But you're a different fighter in the ring.
Yeah, so what drop causes the levee to break, right?
Sorry?
What drop causes the levee to break, right? There's just a certain point that you just can't go anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so then there's a variety of things, but I certainly think, without a doubt, good training and coaching, of course you can improve, from a fighter that typically gasses. I'm not saying they'll go from being if they gas after 6 to then finishing in the 12th unbelievably like they've only boxed 1 round, but certainly you can improve on that.
There you go. All right. Holt sent this in. Says Matchroom FC looking more like Leighton Orient FC if AJ stays with Sky and if Canelo with PVC. Where does that leave Eddie? Is signing with DAZN a mistake, or is it still early days? He still has a Coley versus Sislak at the O2, of course, but bet DAZN loves that fight. Game fucked.
There was a rumour going about last night, I don't know if it's true or no, but apparently Canelo's accepting that DAZN offer, so it'll be Bivol and Golovkin. I don't know how true that is, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
I saw something about it can't happen yet because Golovkin's not agreed to the deal. So
Right,
ultimately,
probably something.
yeah. So if Golovkin doesn't sign, then that deal is, completely out the pan. Now, I find it amusing actually how they can put an offer to somebody, say, right, yeah, you're going to box X and Y, but we've actually not got the go ahead of one of the fighters you're going to fight.
That's what they've done in the first place,
Eddie.
wasn't it? That's how
classic
Canelo got
Eddie.
a big deal.
Well, that's what happened with Golden Boy and that. But it's classic Eddie though. He makes an announcement, but there's fuck all signed. Again.
Massive dough though. Fuck me. What was it? $100 million or something like that. Absolutely massive.
Just been refloated back by what's his name? What's the guy's name?
Leonard Blavatnik or something like that. Yeah.
Billion, eh? He just found $3 billion in the back of the couch.
Yeah, with the debt free now, aren't they? Until next week when they've run up a lot more debts or something like that.
Good to Mickey Garcia comes back for a fight, man. And Adrian Broner, I want my 10 million, bitches.
I wonder what they'll do with Canelo actually if he signs this deal. Whether they'll chuck him on, maybe the what's it called? The Golovkin fight might be his own pay-per-view. I don't see how that platform can physically, generate that sort of money to pay him, unless they're willing just to take a loss on him to try and drive subscribers. Yeah. But I don't know if they're going to explore, pay, because Canelo sells, doesn't it? It doesn't matter, and it'll definitely sell out. I wonder if that's part of the plan. I can't see the Bivol fight being pay-per-view, but I could certainly see Golovkin 3 being pay-per-view.
This is the thing though with Golovkin. We don't know where he's at. I mean, he's been at the ring for 2 and a bit years. I've seen a picture of him the other day there in sparring. My God, he looks every second of the 39 years. And you just don't know what he's got left. Say he comes out here and looks awful. I think, is the Murata fight been rearranged yet? Say that has, and he comes out and it looks awful. My God, you're trying to, it's like a bit like Teofimo Lopez. You're trying to sell his next fight on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
There's a chance they might skirt around the Murata fight and just go straight for something big just in case.
Well, it's possible, mate, because you don't want to take an injury or take an L at this point in his career,
It's not a fight. Honestly, it's not a fight I am bothered about seeing.
Oh,
I'm really not. Yeah, I mean, I saw some people saying, Golovkin won the first, and I agree. I think he did win the first, and the second was a lot closer. But that was a long time ago now, and like you said, Golovkin isn't getting any younger. What is he now, 39?
39.
Last boxed in 2020, so coming up to 2 years ago. Unfortunate that Murata fight fell through in Japan. But yeah, is it a fight I'm not bothered about seeing? No. Would I watch it?
Stop him.
Yeah.
Canelo's going to stop him.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got to let him be stopped in the ring. Let him prove it in the ring. Like, we can say, oh, he's too old, he's blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I think after the first 2 fights, he's earned his chance to be knocked out. If he wants it, and there's a dearth of credible opponents, then let him prove it, whether he's got it or not, still in the ring. I think that's the place to decide this.
And it sells to a broad audience, too. I mean, Golovkin is still a name.
He's a DAZN fighter as well. I mean, did he sign some massive contract as well? Did he even get stake in DAZN as well? So...
Yeah, he'll be selling that soon, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone will buy it.
I was going to say, up until Blavatnik chucked in $3 billion, it'd have been worth absolutely fuck all, wouldn't it?
He knows them money, Golovkin, I think, now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. So, Mr. Golovkin, you have 1% of the company, and we're down $300 million. So, we're going to need $3 million from you.
You need to remember though as well. I mean, I think part of the reason why Canelo left that or got out of that contract is because DAZN weren't only willing to pay him, whether it was at the time, was it $25-30 million a fight to fight like Callum Smith, for example, without getting something juicy in the back end, like a pay-per-view fight or a big fight for him. He wasn't for doing that. And that's just how they end up negotiating the release. I should have known then that shit was hitting the fan.
Sorry, guess that was the end of the conversation. So yeah, we'll see. That's an interesting development. I like that fight. But you're right, Steve. If Golovkin wants to try it one more time in the ring, go for it. The fight still sells, so they might as well go for it. And it would be on pay-per-view, and that sucks because I already paid for the zone, so that's a ripoff. Son of a bitch. So before we get into the big part of the schedule here, Oz scrolling through, and I found one for you that I think you is right up your alley. Next Friday from Leeds, the rest of the card is pretty junk, but there's a vacant Central Area lightweight title with Jimmy First against Justin Newell, both of them undefeated. Any thoughts on that
one? No. I don't even know who these two guys are. Who's the promoter? Is it Mark Bateson?
Fight Zone, man. Come on.
But
is that what it is?
I don't know. This is on Box. I'm on Boxrec. I'm like, wow, 2 undefeated fighters. This is on Friday.
At Leeds. Jimmy First against Justin Newell, British Central Area title.
Yeah.
Oh. Who's showing it? Oh, Bateson, aye. So it might be on.
Is it Mark Bateson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, yeah. Great.
Everyone needs to care about the area titles. There's one on the line. I tell you, you're like, God damn it.
To be fair, I agree. Some of the best fights I've seen are area title fights. It's because you've got two guys going in, same stages of the career, evenly matched. And this is a big thing for these guys, but very few people, will go on and win a British title or, win world titles. So they can pick up an area title. That's massive for some people. So I don't know it. I don't know anything about either of them, to be honest. But I want to see more of them. I think they certainly hold value. And I actually think I'd rather see them on, like, for example, the undercard last night. These are cheap fights to put on, these area title fights. They're not expensive whatsoever. But if they go on there and you've got, a genuine 50-50, it doesn't matter what level it is as long as it produces the goods. So, yeah, good luck to the pair of them. I know absolutely nothing about any of them. And I know I've heard of 3 fighters on the card, and they're all in the away corner. Michael Mooney, Lee Connolly, friend of the pod, and Stephen Jackson. I've not heard of the rest of them. But, yeah. Should be a decent fight.
Yeah.
We had Lee Connolly on before, and we actually told him about an upcoming fight that he didn't know about. So shout out to Lee Connolly.
That's classic. Yeah, it's I think it's just important to follow, try to follow those things. But when the best record on either of their resume is a 9-1. And you got a lot of those journeymen of 100 lost guys on there. Yeah, I guess it has its certain limitations on that one as far as that goes. Yeah, we're also gonna. Unfortunately, there was a replacement fighter in the main event for against Chris Colbert. We were going to see him against Rogers Gutierrez, but now we're going to be seeing him against Hector Luis Garcia. And that's just a generally very underwhelming showbox card here. I have grabbed my wrong notebook, so I apologize on that one. But Andy, Chris Colbert, I mean, he's not a big puncher. He's a talented guy, but it's kind of like looking at this dude. It's like, the Gutierrez fight was a big step up, but there's no momentum to this guy's career. Of all the PBC young guys, I mean, he seems to be the one that just has no gas in his career tank.
Well, yeah, another thing, I think there's also question marks about his not his durability as such and that, but I think about his mentality. I think he kind of lives a bit wild in that as well. I seen some sort of kind of off the hook type YouTube video of him. He's training with his current trainer and going away sparring and that. I'm sure he did some sparring with it wasn't Casemiro. It was somebody that Inoue iced a few years ago. I forget his name at this point and that. But anyways, this guy gave Colbert the work. And he had been eating poorly, that type of thing, and that, and it's just basically a learning experience for him. But you say there's been no momentum for him. He hasn't. When was the last time he fought? Actually, I don't think it's been. What, is it over a year?
Fought Tug, didn't he?
When was that?
Last year, July 2021.
See, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. But it's a super featherweight in that as well, isn't he? So what you got there, you've got that. I think that Russian. I think he fought yesterday on that card is Urbanov. I'm sure he's a super featherweight. I think you can pull up the rankings and that to find out who else is there, mate. But you're right. I think was this not one of the unification for the belts for the WBAs or whatever it is? Anyway,
Yeah, they were tied.
It's an eliminator. It's an eliminator. Gutierrez, I think, is a belt holder.
Yeah, Colbert had been the interim as well, and then they're done away with them, didn't they?
So is Colbert not fighting an eliminator to fight Gutierrez?
Yeah, they were originally going to, and then I found out on the Showtime card at the weekend when I saw this Garcia appearing on the card, and he's only been doing 8 rounders, so Gutierrez is out now.
Oh well, yeah. Look, mate, he's a talented enough fighter. He's got all the kind of flash, funny hair colours and that type of thing, but
not much pop. I mean, he's almost there. He's kind of like a Tevin Farmer kind of guy, right?
Yeah,
like, almost has enough.
That's a fair description. To be fair, way actually, that's probably best. It's still time. He's only 25, I suppose, 26, whatever he is, and that. But as for like coming out to be next elite in that, nah, I don't see it. And the thing is, he's at one of the worst weight divisions in that as well for names and fights and that as well. I don't think the PPC are particularly strong down in that neck of the woods either as well, to be honest with you. And by the way, talking about Tevin Farmer, where the fuck is he these days? I noticed he was still ranked with the IBF a couple of weeks back. Where the fuck's he?
I don't know. He's got his eye on different things.
Another one who Eddie cut loose, isn't it, after he lost?
I mean, just pull up his record here. This is weird, this way, now.
But
2020 against Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, he's been out for a while. That was the last one I remember. So that's pretty disappointing. And the card, and it's a shame that ended because I'd actually forgotten that this card it's fairly decent, and that would have been a good main event. The best fight on this card, Danny, is actually going to be Gary Antoine Russell against Victor Postol, which is a good test for the Russell, the Russell caravan moving into Las Vegas this weekend coming up here. What do you think? Do you think that Postol has enough to give one of the Russells a good night's work and maybe even pull one over the top on him?
Postol gives everyone a good night's work. I think he's still tough and game, and he's still got a bit of dig about him. Obviously, it gave Taylor probably his best learning fight when he was coming through. So no doubt he'll probably just give another work. Whether he wins or not, I doubt it very much. Maybe, but he definitely is there. He's, like I say, he's hard working and he'll do his utmost to give it his all. But yeah, you can't knock Postol. He goes about his work in the right way. So yeah, credit to him.
Steve, what are you thinking on this fight? I like this one. Frankly, I Chris Colbert's fighting Hector Luis Garcia. I just prefer this gets moved up to the main event.
Yeah, well, they could do that. This is the Russell who fought Santiago in his last fight, Matty. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't look great in that fight, but Santiago's tough enough. But it's a nice little step up. I like the way they put the other Russell in against Rodriguez as well. So they are moving them on pretty swiftly. Danny's right. Postol, even at this stage of his career, is going to give him a good fight, a tougher fight, and he's a more experienced former world champion than anyone Russell's going to have fought before. So if he gets past him, don't know if it's a 10, I imagine it'll be a 12. It's not listed on BoxRec for some reason. It's going to be a good test for him. Also, that Luis Garcia, I was looking at him 14-0, 10 knockouts. I imagine it'll go to points. I can't see Colbert stopping him. I can't see him stopping Colbert. And there's a third fight on this, which is of interest. Who's the third fight on it again?
It's Jerwin Ancajas versus Fernando Martinez.
Oh, I've zoned out now with Ancajas. I've given up his career. I'm finished with him, so I'll let that one slide.
He seems, Andy. Jerwin just seems like he's ready. He's there for the taking. Like he's had a number of defenses of this title. He's a good fighter, but for some reason he's just underwhelming. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just pretty much as it is, mate. I mean, I think some people would say, well, I've said in the past that he's probably ranked the title list number 4 on the list. It's just been a pretty poor run of defences really, and he's had the belt for fuck knows how long. It's gone back. Fucking hell, it's gone back as old as my kids must have been, to be honest with you. And in that time, I think there's only like one name I can recall immediately it comes to my mind at least, and that was Israel Gonzalez, the one that fought Kell Yafai and Roman Gonzalez. It's just like he's been fighting IBF mandatories or IBF rank contenders. Yeah, it's just I don't know what situation. I don't know if he's still with Bob. I know he was with Manny for a wee bit in that as well. So I don't know what his situation is, to be honest with you. Is he fighting in this card, did you say?
Yes, sir, he is.
Fucking hell. Well,
and Rancid Bartholomew is fighting too.
Give me a fucking second here. Rancid, aye, fucking right. Give me a second. Right. Cass. Well, how's his fighting low listed in box right then?
That's what I said. It's not there for some reason. I think
I'll tell you what's fucked up with BoxRec, and it's tough to kind of put all these fights together. Is they have so many obscure cards on BoxRec. It's insane, but they don't always have top rank and PVC cards.
Yeah, but Bob's notified us before about stating that the reason why he keeps his undercards quiet or unreleased as such on BoxRec is because it was to stop the competition for Nick and, like, say, a journeyman that they maybe need for their undercard, for example. I think he's supposed to get at the PBC, obviously, here, but that was basically the kind of excuse I heard, at least, as to why. Oscar was the same. He used to do it as well.
It's a good stretch again, Matty. Just quick shout out to Showtime. Them 3 fights that they're putting on Ankayas, even though he's a world champion going in against, isn't it, Rodriguez? Originally, Colbert's supposed to be fighting Gutierrez. Can't be helped. He's got Garcia instead. And then Russell against Postol. Tom Brown's matchmaking. I'm assuming it's Tom Brown. It's top notch at the moment. He's the best matchmaker in boxing for me.
PBC continues to kill. They put together exceptional cards. I mean, it's the main event is the worst thing that's on there, and it was originally a pretty good main event, not an A-level main event, but it was a good B. It was a good B, and yeah. So
for significance, though, it was a good one. Gutierrez has fought under zone. He had a version of a title. Colbert's undefeated. He also had a version of a title. So I think it was a solid main event.
Yeah. When it was announced, and it's just a shame that Gutierrez had to pull out. But because that was a more interesting fight than I think the numbers were pretty wide for Colbert, and I thought Gutierrez had a fair chance in that fight. I mean, he was coming in the champion on top of everything. So, but maybe we still will get to see that fight down the line, or maybe Hector Luis Garcia pulls off an upset. You never know. But that one is going to be on a Saturday night from Las Vegas on Showtime. Also on that day in Dubai, Guillermo Rigondeaux is going to be taking on Vincent Astrolabio, which means roughly translates into Star Mangina. So that's interesting enough. But then we have over on ESPN Plus for us in stateside. I don't know where you guys are watching it at over there, but from Glasgow, we're going to have Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall for all the marbles at 140 pounds. Then we're also going to have Robisi Ramirez against Eric Donovan at featherweight, Nick Campbell versus Jay McFarlane at heavyweight, and then a number of to be announced fights of people against people in 4 and 6 rounders. Oz, why don't you fill me in on the rest of this undercard? I won't put you on the hook with the area title on this one.
Yeah, you kind of summarised it. I've just had a quick look. Then there's loads of TBAs, for fighters that are making debuts or early on in their career. And the 3 named fights are Eric Donovan. I think the last time we saw him, he got knocked out in a fun fight with Zelfa Barrett. That's the last time I saw him anyway. Should be okay. I don't know loads about this his opponent. Is it Roby Ramirez? Nick Campbell, Jay McFarlane. Funnily enough, talking about McFarlane before. This is this level, area level. Maybe Celtic title, that sort of stuff. Should be interesting. It'll certainly be coming to give it a go. Big. I think they're both from obviously Scottish area heavyweight title. So they're both big bit of a rivalry. You'd probably say on that. And then Corey Gibbs, I think Boxer signed him because he won their, that little tournament that they've been putting on, that basically like a prize fight, a rip-off type of thing. He's in against a Carlos Perez. Don't know loads about Perez, but this is a guy who's been brought over to get beat. But good to see that they're getting Gibbs active. Sometimes you see these fighters get signed and then they do absolutely ball all for the next 6 to 8 months, but even 12 months. But yeah, straight back in the ring on a big show. It's probably not got the attention it's deserved, really, given that it's following Amir. It was following Amir Khan and Kell Brook. But yeah, undercard I would say it's certainly better than the weekend's just gone. But when you've got so many opponents who I've known fighters that they've got their opponents, but they're not named, I can't see him being of any quality whatsoever.
Eric Donovan's in a tough one there. Robesi Ramirez. I know he had a loss early on in his career, but he's the Cuban Olympic gold medalist with Top Rank. So.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. And do you know what, though? What's interesting? I think that's really good. I know Taylor is technically, I think he is with Top Rank anyway, but utilising that Sky, that Sky link up, bringing over Top Rank fighters to fight in the UK and get some exposure as well. So got a lot of time for that. I think Donovan, his issue is he can't really punch, can he, Steve? He's not got. Oh no, he has actually. He's got a bit of power. But I think we saw against Barrett. I think he was outboxing Barrett, but
yeah, he was.
There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference between Zelfa Barrett though and a Cuban Olympic gold medalist, isn't there? So you say it right. He's probably in for a tough night, but good to see him get another opportunity.
I agree. He was an excellent amateur. He turned pro very late, so it's good that he's getting the chances. Kurt Walker as well on the undercard. He's from not far away from me. Quality amateur. I think he fought in the Olympics. He used to win the Irish ABAs all the time, so he's definitely one to watch.
So that's not a terrible undercard all in all. Would you say that, Andy?
Sorry, mate, I haven't got undercard up. What card was that? I had just popped away for a second there.
The undercard for Catterall and Taylor. It's not the worst. It sounds a little bit interesting there after hearing the guys go.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that Eric Donovan fighting Ramirez. To be honest with you, I seen Big Nick Campbell fight before. Actually, I remember seeing him on a card fighting in Germany. Big fucking massive guy. Must be near 7 feet actually, if I can recall right. So yeah, that might be okay as such. I don't know who's fighting on undercard other than that, mate. But it's all about the main event really. But even that, I had a quick look at you call it the face-off episode during the broadcast there last night. I know it was just a quick outtake, but did anybody catch Josh Taylor's face when he was responding to him fucking pulling out the initial date? Did you see it now?
No. What did he do?
It was just like, so basically Jack was saying to him about him pulling out the fight, and Josh put on this fucking face and the look in his eyes, and he says, "I was injured, you clown." And he's looking at him like he says, "Are you going to fuck with me right now?" And Catterall was like, "Right, okay." So basically kind of like walked it back a wee bit, and Taylor's like, "Right, okay, next question." I'm like, "Fucking hell, man, zero chill." So he'll be hitting that. He'll be hitting it this week. This will be fight week tomorrow. He'll be turning into fucking Hank, and fucking War Machine mode. They'll be hitting him on Saturday and that. So
I don't believe he was injured, mate.
Nah, I don't believe either, mate. It was the way.
He was absolutely massive. Yeah,
he admitted that himself that he overdone it. He overdoes with the food and that. He says his missus overfed him and that during Christmas, etc. Whatever it was, I can't mind. So that's what it was, really.
Joining us on the call, I just noticed as I was going through BoxRec. Sorry, Rapid Rob Kelly. Rob, how are you, sir, on this fine Sunday evening / afternoon over this part of the hemisphere?
Might be fine where he is, Rob.
Oh, it's fine where I am too, Steve. Big Triple G fan I am, by the way. Greek, Georgius, Giacomakis, get in there. Me on time. Anyway, on to Catterall Taylor. I don't see any chance for Catterall in the fight, to be honest with you. Oz will probably be able to give you more on Catterall or whatever and his chances in the fight, but I just think Josh Taylor's too fucking big, man. He's massive 147. He's a hard bastard, and there's bigger fights for him down the line. I kind of always come back to every time I think about Taylor about how tough it is for him to be a draw. So it's good to see him kind of on Sky Sports where he's getting his chance to shine on a big platform. I don't know if Catterall's the right opponent for him to look good against in the short term in terms of drawing in casual fans. But he's a hell of a fighter, Josh Taylor, and he is fucking massive. Like, I agree with the lads. I don't know if he was injured or not. Like, I saw him. He was over in the US, wasn't he, before the Crawford fight? And he was sizing up Crawford, and he looks fucking bigger than Crawford, who's grown into welterweight quite well over the last few years. So I think this is definitely going to be his last fight at 140. And that's good for us because we're going to see him in bigger fights at 147 as he goes up. But I would see him stopping Catterall late.
Danny, I haven't seen much of Catterall. If you were going to say, try to tell me, what does he do well? What does he do poorly? What might surprise me on Saturday? What points would you make?
He does the basics fairly well, but like, he hasn't got much pop in his shots, like no power in his shots or anything like that. And I don't think his footwork's all that either, to be honest with you. I just can't see a way he wins this at all. I've seen people going, well, you know, Jack can do this and Jack can do that. But he hasn't. You look at the two lists of fighters that Taylor's at. Well, look at Taylor's list compared to Catterall. It's different class. It's different level. This to me is almost Taylor. I know it's a mandatory challenger and all that, but it's just Taylor's coming down levels to fight this guy, because it's like, you know, this is the kind of guy that maybe Josh Taylor could have fought when he fought Ahara Davis and that kind of person. That's where I see Jack Catterall, to be honest with you, and I can see Josh Taylor kind of stopping this fight in the mid rounds. But then, as Rob just alluded to, like I think once this fight is over, I think that's when Taylor moves up. I mean, even Andy, I'll tell you, once we was chatting to his old man in Glasgow before, I think it was the Barancic fight, I think it was, and his old man was saying then, like, he kind of plans to win a world title of some sort and then potentially move up. So I can't see him hold, you know, if he's struggling with the weight as it is, you know, get this one out of the way, and then, you know, I put in the little chat group there earlier, I wonder if Terence Crawford is going to stick around in the UK to go up and watch that one, because that will kind of potentially show us where he's going to go next, and obviously that'll be a quite, well, I'd say fairly straightforward fight to make. But I know Crawford's obviously not with Top Rank anymore, but you know, they've got the connections there. They know who to talk to, and I think that could probably be the next one on the list, really.
Oz, are you thinking stoppage in this fight for Taylor? I mean, it's from the descriptions everyone says, it seems like, and the odds makers have it, basically this would definitely be upset of the year quality if Catterall put this one over the top. Decision or stoppage, I guess, is a question.
Yeah, it would be a huge upset. I think, you know, if you don't think it's an upset, you're just kidding yourself, to be honest, because look, I've known Jack personally for a long time. He's been waiting for this, you know, for a world title fight for probably about 2 or 3 years now. I just feel like he's missing that fight from, you know, going from, you know, like that European level to world level, just to see where he's at, because he came through the domestic scene quite well. You know, got burst onto the scene, really. I remember him when he beat Nathan Brook. It was on the undercard, I forget what. Pretty sure it should have been Fury Chisora, and it got binned off. And he knocked out Brook with one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. And then the fight after, he banged out Tom Stalker. Now, Tom Stalker turned out not to be all that as a pro, but at the time, many people were tipping Stalker to beat Catterall that night. He was undefeated, 9-0. And then I just feel like he went on a bit of a lull fighting, you know, basically a typical Frank fight, you know, getting the ranking titles, which are all well and good because, you know, you're making weight, but against, you know, lesser caliber of opponents. Got a couple of decent wins over like Joe Hughes, who went on to win a European title. Tyrone Nurse, I think, is always tricky domestically. And then he's had, you know, he battered Tyrone McKenna. The cards I thought were a bit closer, but sometimes Jack just struggles to go through the gears. And I disagree in one point what Danny says he doesn't have any power. I disagree with that, because he does. I know people who've sparred with him. I know people who've taken him on the pads, and they said his power is unbelievable just for the first few rounds, and it does peter off. It's tough to see the way he beats him. I don't think Taylor's invincible. Look, he's shown he can be outworked and he can be outdone on the inside. The Ramirez fight was razor close, and ultimately it was, the knockdowns that were the difference between the fight. Prograis as well, shown that. But we're talking, top level fighters there. I think what Jack would need to display is something that he's never done before, and that's, I think he needs to start at quite a quick pace and try and outwork Taylor himself, and see if he can land on Taylor early, just to make sure. I think a big difference is if you've got a fighter who respects your power, it can dictate the way a fight goes. If you get hit early, but you can't be hurt by that fighter, it's always going to be an uphill battle for the opponent. And I think if Taylor can walk through Catterall, it's going to be a long night for him. Look, Catterall, he's a southpaw. He can bang. Defensively, he's pretty sound. I think he's just a well-rounded fighter. I disagree with the bookies' odds. I think they've got him at like 10-1 somewhere. I think he's a better opponent than a 10-1. I'll probably have him at half of that, maybe a touch less. But I'm not going to try and get too cute. I've always said that I think Jack needed that fight between European level and world level. There was various opponents that I think would have suited him. And he's just not got that. Whereas Taylor, is undisputed for a reason. Has had, been matched tremendously well. I do believe, he pulled out the first fight because he botched the weight and he was absolutely massive in camp. And then they claim, what was it? It said it all when I think Top Rank released a press release saying it was off because he twisted his ankle. And then I think it was Sky who released it and came up with a completely different injury on his hand or something. So it shows, fuck me, if you can't get the injury right, something's not correct, is it? But I think Jack will give a good account of himself personally. I would be shocked if, he gets blitzed early. I certainly think he can take it into the second half of the fight. And he can box. He's got a very good jab. And I think if he can get that off, it might allow him to win some rounds. And look, if he does get beat, it's not going to be the end of the world, because I agree. I think Taylor will jump up and the belts will become, vacant. And if he puts in, a decent performance, I've always said it can be the manner you get beat and how, you bounce back. And if he gives Taylor a fight, unsurprised, which would be a shock to many, there's no reason why the WBO might not install him as, an immediate, mandatory again to fight for the vacant title. We've seen that before, happen with fighters. But for me personally, it's hard to say, because I've known him for years. It is going to be difficult. I just hope he gives a good account of himself. He's done it the hard way, certainly. He didn't have, a massive amateur background, and he started on the small hall shows, fighting on, Dave Caldwell's shows. I think he might have done the odd Steve Wood one. And then he got his big chance with Franken, got to that certain level. And there was big talk about him a few years ago, and he just stagnated a little bit. He didn't have that massive breakout fight, which, I wanted to see happen. But I'm looking forward to it, to say the least. I'd certainly think, I'd be shocked if he gets blitzed early. And I think he might, surprise a few people, showing some of the skills he's actually got.
Andy, how do you think this this battle in Scotland is going to end? And do you think that there's going to be a stabbing somewhere on the facility?
Oh, it's every possibility, mate. It's Glasgow after all. People make Glasgow. But I think Taylor stops Catterall, to be honest with you. I've always though I don't know Jack and that, I have read some things in that, and I just never really got the impression he's actually in love with boxing. Maybe Aussie knows better than that than me, but certainly he's no fought for 2 years. That for me is a concern. I just don't see. I could see maybe kind of like
could take him out early with that. I mean, that kind of sounds like the equation for a top tier fighter to take you out early.
I don't think it will end quick, to be honest with you. I think it goes a few rounds. And the other thing as well is it'll be interesting to see how Josh looks like on the scales now. We all know he's tight at the weight, so if he's done it badly, it might play into Catterall's hands a wee bit, and it might kind of like drag on a wee bit longer. But I fancy Taylor to win by stoppage, probably around about the kind of second half of the fight. I'm not going to go. It's going to be a clean knockout. It's probably going to be like referee just stepping in because he's taking too much punishment. But yeah, I'll go with Josh late stoppage. As I said, I've not got much of a form guide on Catterall at this point, but he's no fault at the level Josh is at, obviously, in that. And I take Ossie's point that Josh does get dragged into situations whereas he can maybe make a fight far easier for himself rather than just getting into a fucking trench warfare. But that's just who he is. He likes a scrap, and I think this will be no different, to be honest with you. Especially if Catterall tags him, maybe kind of not so much shake him, but just gets his attention. Fucking Josh can turn like that, and it's like fucking, it's all bets are off, and it's like anything else goes for that point. So I'll say I'm going to say it's going to be absolutely easy. But I would say that Josh does it second half of the fight, as I says. Catterall, I suspect, will put up a good showing early doors. But yeah, I think Josh in the end, just his range and probably some of his body work in that as well, probably will be telling on Catterall as well. So we'll wait and see.
Steve, last word on the main event.
Yeah, I'll not go on for too long, Matty. I think that I agree with Ozzy. A lot of what Ozzy says, actually. I think he's suffering from career drift, and it's hard to go from barely fighting, keep busy fights. I mean, what is it, 3 or 4 fights in the last 4 years to fighting a hard, experienced champion who's been there, grinding it out at the top level, winning titles, and it's just going to be difficult for him. He hasn't got that interim step-up fight again, like Ozzy says, that bridge between the domestic level, the guys like your McKennas and your Davises, up to this level. And I was there the night he fought Tyrone McKenna. We mentioned this a few weeks ago. He dropped him a couple of times, looked $1 million early, and then he just took his foot completely off the gas. The fight drifted again, much like his career. And in the end, I think he won by a couple of points and maybe 3 points on the third card and made it a lot closer than it needed to be. Against O'Hara Davis, I thought he was a worthy winner. I've heard people say in the build-up to this, Davis might have beaten him. I don't think he beat him. I think Catterall was a worthy winner. And early on, again, against Stalker, that was his breakout performance, like Oz says. He needs to put in a good display for down the line, even if he loses, if he goes the distance, or if he gives him a tough time, or he gives the WBO or the other sanctioning bodies or future opponents something to think about, to say, I'm here. Once Taylor moves up and the belts are vacant, I want to fight on. But like Andy says, does he want to fight on? Maybe this is the last fight. He's drifted a bit like Billy Joe Saunders. I know Saunders is a 2-weight world champion, but he's had that kind of career drift as well. Does he want to carry on after this? If he gets paid, he might say, I've had enough now. He's been happy enough to sit on his ranking, which is obviously completely his entitlement. But I wonder if he puts in a good solid display, he might get another opportunity down the line. So at least do that. That said, I think he'll have his moments early. But Taylor, hard, tough, experienced, underrated champion, 18, 19 fights, all that he's done in that time. One of the most underappreciated fighters in British boxing. I'm going for a 10th round stoppage for Taylor with a few slightly hairy moments along the way, as in he might get outboxed for a minute or two. But I don't know. I just wonder how, when the going gets tough, if Catch will be there to hang.
All right. So let's see here. So Andy, you're going Taylor by stoppage?
Yeah, second half. I'll probably run about the 8th or the 9th, mate.
Okay. Oz?
Yeah, probably similar, but it wouldn't shock me if Catterall sees the bell, the final bell. It really wouldn't. I'm going, stoppage between 10 to 12 or a points win.
All right. Danny?
5 and 6 KO for Taylor.
Rob?
Rob's not watching Jack Catterall on a Saturday night.
Hold on, Matty. Have to get the phone out of my pocket. Have to get the phone out of my pocket here. I'm going to say Taylor by 7. I just think he's too big, too strong, like Froch was against Triple G, and I just think he's too much of a finisher. I think if he gets Catterall hurt, and he's capable of hurting him, I think he'll take him out.
All right, Taylor in 7. Steve?
Taylor in round 10 for me.
Taylor in 10. Let's see here. I'm also going to go Taylor in 5. I'm with Danny. Like I'm feeling something early. Guy's been out of the ring for a while, and he's going in with a quality operator. Timing will be off. I think he's going to get wrecked with something nasty. Something which is not nasty. Terry Woodfine throwing his 5 pounds in there says Keep up the good work, fellas. I won a few quid on the main event, so I think it's only right I put it back into the sport. Sorry I can't listen live. Hey, thanks a lot, Terry. We really appreciate you and our other super chatters tonight.
Giving us money, putting it back into the sport.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's, yeah, I guess, because we all pay for content,
Well,
right?
fucking Matty pays his tough accountant, basically. That's what he's doing with his fucking share of the bills.
Jesus fuck.
Getting
Tell
to the
you what.
bookies.
So we have looks like we're having a busy weekend of boxing there. God, Steve, you know what? I'm arguing on about previewing a Coley and Sislak, or if we want to do that early next week, because it is next Sunday. It's kind of a toss up.
Well, I've got to be up at 5 a.m, so I say next week.
It sounds like a plan. So with that, I will turn it over to the always hardworking Steve Wellings for the value of the week.
Thanks, Matty. I wasn't quite expecting that, but let's see if we can dig something out pretty quickly for value of the week. What is it, episode 462? Yeah, Matty's here, Andy's here, Ozzy's here, Danny Young, and rapping Rob Kelly. It is the value of the week, so no greater man than Bellew himself to take us into this segment.
I've told you what to do, ban them for life. My thing would be, fail the steroids, officially you've took steroids, you've injected needles, ban them for life. Ban them for life. No ifs or buts, you fail for performance enhancing drugs, you're banned for life.
It seems to be people saying to you, and this is also towards Eddie Hearn as well, that it seems to be one rule for one and one rule for another.
If anybody fails a drug test for performance enhancing drugs, they've been injecting steroids, ban them for life. I don't care who it is. I don't want to go on about Billy Joe. I just feel for him. I know the kind of person Billy Joe is. He's a good lad. He's one of the boys. And let me tell you, mate, cheating just wouldn't be in his. It's just wrong, mate. He's been given something, and it's wrong. It's wrong. And he must be furious as well. He must be furious because you're tarnishing the lad's name, and it's just not in. It's just not in.
Tony should suck a dick for that. There you go. Fuck Tony Bellew then.
MBT squared for that one. We can get on board with Dillian White, Andy, if he's coming up with that type of content at the end. Bellew can suck a dick for that, he says.
Without doubt, mate. Without doubt. Dillian might appear on this segment as well again tonight.
Might be a Dillian appearance. One man who regularly appears these days is Isaac Lowe. He tweeted out, I think I'm going to hit Manchester for the boxing. Who go, who then? Dan said, I wish you'd get some fucking literacy lessons. It would be awful when you can't help your own child to read and write. Isaac says, wish you'd take ye cock out ye mouths. I don't want him to take literacy lessons, Andy. I'm enjoying this kind of content.
Oh, mate, somebody needs to take the phone away from him, though, man. Jesus Christ. Surely somebody says to him, look, mate, come on.
Give it up, Isaac. Give it up. A couple of people who should give it up, actually. It seems to be Master Knowledge. I think it was Craig who threw this one in. I can't remember now. But anyway, Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. Kell Brook ways to win. Only 11 viewers. Bellew of the week for Fearon's viewing figures. And Stamina 9 for sale. Oh, dear. Struggling over there, the boys with 11 viewers. Not like
Spencer X is just unblocked me on
under.
Twitter as well. So I feel blessed this Sunday day, you know.
He unblocked you? What have you done right?
First time in 5 years he's unblocked me, for some reason. I don't know what the fuck's happened there.
Get him on the pod, Andy. Get him on.
No chance, mate. He needs to come begging me to get him on our pod.
We'll up his viewing figures now. Super chats are flying in for the lads there. William McNamara has nominated Ray Jackson. Kell Brook would beat Jerome Boots Ennis right now. Hashtag Brook.
At what?
That's right. He didn't specify.
Oh dear. No, I was a bit savage earlier, Andy. I said that maybe Brook should be served up for Ennis. Sacrifice to the new king. You go on board with that one?
Mate, I'm telling you right now, Kell Brook needs to get fucking danger pay for that fight, including the fucking health insurance. And the insurance company's going to be, who knows their fucking boxing is going to can insure him for that fight.
Them eyes wobbling around like Tevin at the end.
Mate, that's GBH written all over that fight.
Oh dear. The Dr. FMG super chatter has thrown in a little message there saying that he's sweating. What was it he said there? Let's see. Bellew sweating like Isaac Lowe in a spelling test. Oh, Bellew wouldn't contradict himself, would Tony? But he did in the introduction. Anyway, next one here. Brian King has nominated Macho Grande. Chuffed for Joe Gallagher. There's something I never thought I'd tweet. Joe got the win with Natasha Jonas last night and got a lot of love over on Twitter for it. Here's a few more as well from the man himself. Macho Grande says, my good man Dewey Powell has just alerted me to a 6-1 offer for Namus to beat Jonas. I don't know anything about Namus, but I do know Natasha Jonas is jumping up 3 weight divisions. Feels like a trap price, but one that's too good to refuse. Well, hopefully he refused that one. Didn't put the money on. Jim Ballchat gave Bellew the week nomination for the card, said it was atrocious. And also Andrew Foster got a nomination. The Furies need a payday and are beginning to panic a little bit. Here we go, Rob, right up your street here. Andy nominated Floyd. I couldn't get the video. It wouldn't let me copy it for some reason, which is a little bit of a shame. But Floyd has just joined Metaskeletons NFT project, and it's going crazy. Mint your metaskeletons.io today, Rob, and you'll have a chance to win a pair of signed autograph gloves by me and 2 tickets to my next main event. You've been critical of Floyd in the past for not telling us what to do. Well, he's very clear. Mint your metaskeletons, Rob, today.
Look, if you don't mint your metaskeletons today, what are you going to do tomorrow? This is the fucking question. Do you know what I mean? And I love that he's giving away tickets to his next event that I don't think is inked anywhere just yet. So, not saying Floyd is selling magic beans or anything, but yeah, I don't think he's learned his lesson from being indicted for selling fucking Bitcoin fucking drops or whatever he was doing the last time. So, yeah, TMT, baby, the crypto. He's going to have to fucking add a TC into that. The money and cryptocurrency team. Not just all about the cash these days, Floyd. Like,
his hair's looking good, though.
Definitely is.
British hair clinic, baby. Manjaro's did the hairline for him when he was over in the UK.
Bitcoin Rodney, hurry, this project will sell out fast, says Floyd. So that's that one. Here we go. What about this? Matty. Dominic Henry has nominated SAS Australia on 7. Ebony Bridges has never been one to back down from a fight. SAS Australia starts Monday, February the 21st. Quite a few people asking how they can get to see this, Matty. On a VPN, apparently. The blonde bomber in action.
What's going on here? Is she in a fight or is this a reality show?
No, she's taking part in an SAS reality TV challenge. Is the blonde bomber.
Same one that Bellew did. She's doing the equivalent of a Tony Bellew, except in Australia, mate. She's joining us, the SAS, the Special Australian Squad.
So she's gonna be like crawling around on her hands and knees with a rifle on her back through the Australian outback.
Yeah. Picking up landmines with the titties, man.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man, there's going to be... if she lasts... God, you know what? She's a tough chick, but do you think she can last the whole show? How does the elimination work on this thing?
I don't know, but I'm waiting to see Twitter when they're like, it's good that you're learning all these techniques, Ebony, because you are the bomb, so you need to learn how to defuse one.
Spoken in the style of the main man himself there, Rob, the Gad.
Can I just add, if the lad who won the Bellew of the Week last week is directing this SAS program, I'm all for it.
God damn.
Well, let me tell you, he might have some competition because Ebbs was tweeting out, "What am I thinking?" And Heath Pearson 5 was nominated by former super chatter Terry Woodfine, and his take on what Ebbs was thinking was quite interesting. He says, "How you wish you could come to Bama and meet me, the love of your life, and get your ass ate out. I mean, completely ate out, whole thing front to back." Ha 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 ha.
Woo! I tell you what, that's an offer she could not refuse. Fucking hell, man.
Jesus fuck.
How desperate are these people? Fuck me.
Oh, yeah, you do that, Danny.
Sorry?
Would you do that? Back to front or front to back?
I'm just wondering, like, if he says that fucking publicly, what's the DMs like? You know what I mean? Fucking hell.
You know, I had this old friend of mine who was married 6 times to 5 different women, and one time he told me, 49 no's and 1 yes still means yes. So, guys like this, they're just throwing it out there to whoever will fucking try it, and just hoping, hey, I just need one to take the bait, just fucking one.
The Rocky Marciano of relationships there, Matty.
Jesus fucking Christ. Well, and he bought almost every one of them a house. It was very, very expensive pursuit, Steve.
Not boner, is it? Anyway, moving on. Mauricio Sullivan has dropped in with the union belt on the live last night.
What a travesty that is, by the way.
Again, we're going back to like Ultimate Warrior style fucking wrestling belts here. It's disgraceful.
God, if Andy was wearing that, everybody would just think that he's wearing a Union Jack codpiece.
Fucking hell, man. Look at that. I mean, imagine tripping on acid and fucking looking at that belt, man.
Oh, the WBC.
It's horrible, isn't it? Look at it.
Well, we've got to come up with something, Andy. What about this fella wearing that? That's right up your street.
I want to hang out with that person.
Union belt. Right, moving on. Sam Wood, unpopular opinion. Fowler has the potential to be world class at middleweight. Brian King has nominated him for that one. Here's a good one, Danny, that you might be interested in. Aid Oladipo. Actually feel a bit for Eddie, not about it being on DAZN, more that he has wanted to make this fight for Kell for years. He's worked with Kell for years. Almost feels unfair that he won't have his moment. Michael Gearty has nominated him, but do you feel sorry for Eddie there, Danny?
Absolutely not. Evening, Ed. Yeah, fucking terrible. What a travesty that he wasn't involved in that. But anyway, you know, we're all sitting there and we're all thinking, oh, how Ben Shalom, isn't it? So,
I mean,
he made it.
Why is it unfair that Eddie's not getting his 20%? Is that what it is? I mean, this is the same Eddie Hearn that told Kilbert to go fuck himself when they come back to him asking for a TV slot for his Crawford fight, and Hearn was fucking fuming about that. Right, well, something along the lines of, you know, if you go away and do your own thing and that, you know, you cut me out, then we're done. That's it. Well, you know, it's finished. So all of a sudden now, we have to fucking feel sorry for a fucking promoter. Fuck
but
off.
look, this is a guy from Talk Sport, and what the fuck do they know? Do you know what I mean? So
that's what you get if you listen to Talk Sport. Tony Bellew might appear, been nominated by Cedric Sniff. Tony also feels sorry for Eddie, you'll be surprised to hear. He said a man who continuously delivers, apart from this fight, and makes sure you're paid extremely well should be shown loyalty, in my opinion. But hey, not everyone thinks like I do, I suppose. I'm all for fighters going their own way when they aren't being paid or are being robbed. But if you're not, then be loyal. Tony's not happy there about the loyalty.
he would say that though, because he's still in Hearn's pocket, still getting paid, isn't he? So
good old Tone. Better places to be. What about in the gym with Kell Brook? Don't try this at home. Dominic Ingle drinks Kell Brook's sweat after a heavy session. Now we know what goes into the Flex Ingle protein shake, says Shimmy 10. Yeah, this is fucking grim.
That's Clarke, by we didn't even show that. That's Clarke. I don't want to know until I did. Oh, fucking grim, man.
I was saying to someone in the chat, I haven't seen something like that since. Remember the program The Word, and they used to get young people to do some disgraceful things.
Like lick granny's armpits and stuff.
No, like see, like Jackass and Dirty Sanchez, these guys. And that these were the guys, right? But this is like, I remember Dirty Sanchez sprinkling pubes in their pizza and that type of thing, spewing out atop it. This is just disgusting.
The worst thing since Marquez drinking his urine.
I thought it was a Ricky Gravel tweet when I seen it first.
Too extreme for Gravel, that.
Well, the thing is, as well, I mean, I can see why Kell made the weight quite nicely in that, because obviously Dom just sucked whatever ounce fluids he still had left him out of his body a wee bit.
Andy, that might be the case, but was it?
Might be the case.
Oh dear, yeah. There you go, Dominic Ingle. We'll move on from him pretty swiftly. The Motor City Cobra nominated this. Savage from Kiko Martinez. They asked him about Josh Warrington's hair, Andy. He said, I'm going to feel bad punching Jim Carrey and Dumber and Dumber.
So you're saying there's a chance?
No, shrimp on the Barbie. Oh, fucking brilliant. Yeah. What was... I need to go and watch that. I might fucking fancy a laugh at that, actually, Jim Carrey. Saying that, what was his excuse? Warrington said that's what it is. He got caught in the rain. That's what it was. Fucking hell!
I dread to think what I'm going to look like when I get back in the fucking Afghan.
I look like Kiko Martinez's hairdo anyway. So
shout out to the British Hair Clinic. Sir Ruiz Horza Fitzgerald nominated here. Cocaine Dawkins enjoying his content. Tony, we talked about this. Not in public. Cheeky sod looks away. You'll never hear from me again, Eddie. I just want to get home safely to my wife and kids. Says Tony.
Jesus fuck.
More of a visual one there. S-Jam Boxing, Saturday night, the Albanian King will be watching you. Greg Cross and Slack the Planet have nominated him. We will be watching Florian Marku, wants the winner of Khan versus Brook. More chance of getting Khan, I'd say, than Brook. What about Bean? Been nominated by Paco. First of many Belly of the Week nominations for Bean, saying in the IFL interview, he looked at Kell's legs and thought, wow, good Bean content there.
I thought Bean was brilliant this week, by the way. He was giving it to Ed, wasn't he? Like, in a very subtle way. Even
He was, I tell you what, I did pick on the most overused word he used last night was exciting. It's very exciting in the Emmy Arena. It's an exciting show here tonight, lads, isn't it? My God, man. I can see why he gets excited about a bottle of ketchup. You get that?
I said on the post-fight pod last night, I hadn't listened to the commentary all night, and then I just turned it on at the ring walks, and Bean's like, a cacophony of noise, and then I just
mute that fish. Yeah, I was like, well, I'll go with the ESPN broadcast or stick with Sky. I was like, well, I've got the Sky link seems to be working quite solid, so I'll just stick with that. I'll not try and jinx it. My God, I wish I hadn't bothered. And the other thing as well is because he had so many knockouts and that. So I say this was going back to cycling show and that. You know, fucking waiting like half an hour between fights after some cunt gets knocked out. I'm like, just get on with it.
I remember Frank Maloney, now known as Kelly Maloney, done that once at a show. It was on Sky. It was Martin Lindsay against John Simpson. All the fights early on ended in early knockouts. So instead of putting the floats on, they had like over an hour break between the last fight and the main event, and we're all just sitting there. And of course, once the main event had happened, this was Christmas as well. It was snowing like mad.
I remember it. Aye.
And I was sitting there at 12 o'clock at night. It got that bad that the Sky team had put all the cameras away and the bouts were still going on. And they'd taken Gary Logan's microphone away, and they were having to shout out the results at the end because it was all packed up and there was still they were still going on. That was a bonkers night, that was. So it could be worse.
Mate, I'd have left. Did you stay to the bitter death?
Well, I was doing it for boxing news, so I had to stay, didn't I, and be a professional.
Oh, fuck that, mate. Bed's made important.
Back in the professional days. Anyway, talking of professionalism, my former friend on the press row, Dan Raphael, was getting stuck into a seat, smashing it to bits with his heavy arse. Poor old Dan.
I see he actually had it name tagged as well, so you could actually even get that framed.
Frame tag selling.
Well, we're not fat shaming on the Asylum, you know what I mean? We're pro health. We want to see Dan Raphael do his job for many, many years to come, and he needs to make some adjustments. As brother Nazim would have said during this contest against the chair.
Some smart adjustments to his belt.
Because Jade can't.
Well, not that I want to shame Dan, but we have a video, so we might as well watch it. Ricky Gravel sent it in. Here we go.
Fuck off.
That seems to be throughout boxing right now. Everybody seems to be determined to protect that record. Sometimes when it stops big fights from being made. Right? Yeah,
He thought he saw a donut, that's what it was. Tried to get there.
8, 9, 10, you're out.
Can't even get up, man.
The fleece and all.
Holy shit.
Up at ace, Dan Raphael.
That beige fleece was everywhere. Everywhere we go.
The cameraman wasn't the smallest fellow in the world either, Andy.
I know. The thing is, mate, it's one of the folding plastic chairs and that. Christ's sake. I mean, what is Dan weighing? Like 3 bills these days, man? Look at life. 25 stone. Fuck me.
Talking of big fellas, old Bomac, do you think he ever gets in the ring to give advice to his fighters? Or is that because he takes him a little longer to get back out?
He would need to roll under the bottom rope to get in the fucking
ring.
He
would. Or have the bottom rope held up for him so he can roll underneath it. Yeah.
And even then, he's trying to suffocate himself to death with the weight.
Just set a ramp up and just at a slightly tilted angle above the corners so that he can just roll down after in between rounds.
You have to think that these guys have got a medical issue to carry that much.
You know, yes and no. I mean, I've dealt with weight issues throughout my life. I mean, I'm about 185 now. I used to be 240 in my younger days. So much of it is the decisions that you make in your life and things like that. And I really hope that breaking a chair will help Dan make changes in his life that are healthy, because that's not a good look.
I know Dan Raphael's won a few awards and that, but see the day he hits the Hall of Fame, I want to see that beige fleece get fucking enshrined in fucking Canton, by the way. Come on. Get it
It
fucking
must be
done.
an American thing, though, Andy. Didn't Gabe tell us the last he weighed himself, he was 428 pounds or something like that?
Who, Gabe?
Yeah.
Is he that?
Yeah.
Seriously? Like Yokozuna like weather, man. Fuck me. They wouldn't be see him in the summertime. He's fucking inside to be fucking sitting underneath his AC unit. Keep him cool.
What the fuck?
Fucking hell.
Just
Is he
sits
really
down to shoot
£400?
now.
Is he really?
No, I don't think so.
Aye,
I
you
was
need to
hoping
find
he
it.
would hear this and come on.
Who's 400? Gabe?
Apparently
No,
so.
I don't-
Aye.
No, I'm
You
only
make that
messing.
up, Steve.
I will say, like, I don't know. I've never seen Gabe, but I will say that the fattest person I've ever seen personally in my life was in a diner in Electra, Texas, and they ate the biggest chicken fried steak I've ever seen in my life, and they sat on 2 chairs, and it was
awesome.
It was, yeah, like, and that's personally, like, I've watched those shows, like, where they have to remove the wall out of somebody's trailer to get them out with a forklift and into a cargo jet to a
this
weight
is
loss
terrible.
clinic. But personally,
Oh, no.
that's the biggest person I've ever seen. I don't know how fat you can be and still be mobile, but that person was nearing the limit, I would assume.
I could take us to another level, but I'm not going to bother.
No, I feel a bit bad now, but there you go. Shout out to Dan Raphael. That's all the ones that I've got. Apart from Andy, actually, you sent one in to me last night, which I completely forgot to put up. G-Main 07. What Amir Khan goes home to versus what Kell Brook goes home to. I ask you, gentlemen, who really won tonight? Hashtag Khan Brook. It's a bit of a strange tweet.
As I says to him, and that says, well, I didn't say it to him. I says that I put it out. It says someone needs to fill Mr. G-Man in with information here.
I wouldn't kick either of them out of bed for eating crackers. What the fuck are they talking about?
You know, Khan's missus is wasting herself with all that plastic fantastic stuff, you know. So
yeah, but I really, I personally think he fucks like a bitch. You can just tell looking at him.
I thought you were going to say that
she needs it.
I thought you were going to say you like chicks that look like Lilos.
Dear God. Anyhow.
Right, we started off with Isaac Lowe, ended up with Amir Khan. Natural progression, everybody. Those are all the ones I've got. Matty, any nominations from you? Episode 462.
I think just generally the ESPN feed for the Russian card deserves a nomination. It seemed like there was there was only one camera angle. It feels like it was like from a guy with an iPhone and a seat about 10 rows back or something like that. And the announcer was awful. Like there were just so many awful lines, but what that stood out is he said, it says Linares will not back down unless his opponent makes him. And I don't know. It was just fucking awful. And anyone that watched it knows what I'm talking about. So wherever that feed from Russia came from, I love the extra boxing, but man, if you guys would just pay for my pay-per-views, I'd do that shit and do a 10-time better job.
Did they have like Corey Erdman doing it on his own or something? Because the version I watched was like a Spanish version and they seem to be having a great time.
I didn't know. It wasn't a Spanish version. This was in some English.
Some form of English. Nomination there for Matty coming in. Any nominations from you, Andy?
Yeah, a couple, mate. So Chris Eubank and Kell Brook's going back and forward on Twitter just now trying to get a fight made. I think Kell's saying, look, this is going to happen at 155. Others didn't mention my name. Eubank responds, you fought Golovkin at 160, so you'll do the same with me if you want the biggest payday and the biggest beating that you've ever got. If not, then he's got bigger fish to fry, according to Chris Eubank. So this is Chris Eubank who's telling the world he's got the biggest fish to fucking fry. Yet he's on Twitter right now, right, trying to negotiate a fight with another washed-up fighter. That's Chris Eubank's career for you boys.
The fucking thing, the thing about this that's so annoying is that he's trying to paint this narrative now that Brook interfered with his Triple G fight. But really, wasn't it Chris Eubank Sr.? Didn't he want McGuigan or something as part of the commentary team? And he was insisting on that as part of the deal. He wasn't pick his own fucking pundits.
That fight comes down to heart.
Yeah, so fucking Chris Eubank looking for the chocolate brownies, Babby. I say the fight gets made at some kind of 159 upwards, 158, something like that. I do see the fight getting made. Brook was bigging up Ben Shalom big style last night after I noticed after we had our post-fight pod, which I kind of thought he would. And why wouldn't he? Because Ben Shalom seems like a great guy, doesn't he? Everyone agrees on that. Like, Ben Shalom seems like the fucking top man.
The future.
Really good guy.
Very
the future, yeah. young, more handsome. He's not, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to fucking try to be 40 running around in a jumpsuit or whatever. Good on Ben Shalom, but yeah.
Got one for Eddie and Dillian White. Apparently, there's an article in the Sun, though, that I'm not going to believe everything is said in it, mind you. But apparently, Eddie's going to offer big money to Dillian White in order not to fight Tyson Fury and to become one of his main stars. So I think the stable's running a wee bit bare if that article's true. Chino Maidana is making a return actually to the Legacy Boxing Series in March 26th in Dubai.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I don't know who it is he's fighting. Is it Yao Kabira or Kabara? Whatever his name is?
Last I heard, they were going to stick him in with some YouTuber, so I don't know whether that is the guy. I saw him on the poster, but like you, I didn't know who he was.
Some West train station.
Mike, aye, that long word. Mike Perez is on the undercard as well, and Lenroy Thomas for the Dave Allen fame. And who else have I got here? Oh, aye. Don't know if this should be for Bell of the Week, but I noticed something kicking off here. Somebody on Twitter claiming to be a sports writer, stating that John Real Casimiro.
Yeah, I saw that.
Apparently, has got credible allegations made against him of a female minor.
Yeah,
he's apparently fled the Philippines a few days ago and is currently in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Sounds
think
a bit dodgy, all that.
Is he got a fight arranged?
He's supposed to be fighting Paul Butler, wasn't he?
So I think keep an eye on that one if it comes through.
Yeah.
And my last one, mate, would be for
Team
David
Regal.
Benavidez. Who?
Team Regal. Regal was robbed against Tim Money.
Aye, that's right.
Thought he was like.
David Benavidez, now Samson Vick, which was on the Boxing Voice. This is someone tweeted this out, and that he says, "Did you hear this one? David Benavidez will only fight Demetrius Andrade, basically if he's paid well over $7 million. Quote, we will, quote, we will, did you hear this one, Rob? This will make you even piss your pants. We will fight Canelo for way less than any other opponent, but to fight Andrade, they will have to pay $7 million just to start talking." Right,
that's
$7 million, right? So he's going to take less money to fight Canelo. So all these fucking people who are saying, you know what I'm saying, mate? They're all sitting on the sidelines. All these B-side fighters, right? And everybody for 160, 175, all waiting for a retirement fucking handout.
Well, I think there's been proven allegations against Benavidez in the past for riding the white horse, hasn't there? So maybe, maybe that sounds like a return to form.
Lost his title for it, didn't he?
$7 million for Andrade. Like, in the metaverse or something, this is the
Ugandan dollars. It's Floyd's paying with his NFTs, metaskeletons.
7 million metaskeletons, or we don't talk Andrade. Boom, boom.
By the way, just off the back of my nomination for Chris Eubank there about the, basically like bigger fish to fry, Jamel Herring has just tweeted him saying, "I'll meet you at 160." So, He'll not take that one on, will he? Nah, he wants to stay in-house. That's what's going to happen. I think that's all I've got, mate, to be honest with you. I've got anything for last night, that's what I think.
I know you sent me a video of Khan slagging Eddie, but again, I couldn't get it copied for some reason.
Right.
They're clamping down on us.
Just that entire card there last night, mate, was absolutely awful. Just shite.
Yeah, definitely Bell of the Week worthy. Danny, any nominations from you?
I was just going to say that Andy's that insider information about Benavidez fighting Boo Boo. I think that was from Mel B, wasn't it? I think that was.
No, Mr. Moonshine. I think it was.
Busted you.
You busted. Anyway,
nomination reality show, wouldn't it? Kell, Brook and Mel B from both selector. Coming as Fook, and I'm posh as Fook.
Let's get it straight though. Who the fuck's going to pay anybody? Who they're like me? Oh, maybe Eddie, obviously, but $7 million for Andrade is insane, man. Who the fuck can justify that money?
Triller in with a bid straight. Watch this space.
In a triangle ring.
That's why they're going to Broke, surely.
What's Andrade going to go?
Spice Girls concert going on beforehand.
What the fuck's Andrade going to be wanting for that fight? He's going to be wanting parity at least. $7 million. It's a bit like the time when Leo Santa Cruz came out. He got asked directly. He says, "How much will it take you to fight Rigo?" $4 million. Fucking just came straight out. $4 million, just like that. Wait, dude, you're not being fucking serious. Nobody's paying fucking Rigo fight $4 million fucking quid. Not happening.
Shoot for the moon, Andy. Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon and fucking land in the slurry. Man, that's what's gonna happen.
Right. Danny, sorry, did you have anything to throw in there?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So just quickly, Jake Darnell for giving us all hope that we can appear on a pay-per-view. Terence Crawford for doing a ring walk with Amir Khan. What the fuck's that about? Like, I'm not aware that he was involved in any sparring sessions or anything like that.
Terence Crawford's biggest ring walk last night of his career.
Yeah, well, he should have just sat in the front row and just fucking stayed well out of it, because it just, I don't know, it just something was a little bit odd about it. And then Bean was fucking awful last night. He was so bad, and I had to have it on because I had a load of people around watching it with me, and I was like, what is he like? He just don't shut up, and he doesn't talk about what's going on. He's not talking about the fight. He's just, just absolutely creaming himself about fucking ketchup and being sweaty and all the rest of it. Like, it's annoying. It really is. So yeah, just them for me, mate.
Rob, any from you?
Yeah, I got a good one actually. For I'm bringing the quote back into it. I should have sent you the screenshot because it's got the quotes. Box rec pick in, but basically the Iceman John Scully on Facebook put a split screen up of the Goats box rec and Canelo's box rec, and he said, no offense, but when she crazily, in capital letters, says she was the first to win titles in such quick fashion, etc., but look, more capitals, there are 1,277 male super middles in the world as compared to 28 females, all in capitals again, in the world. There are levels. This is not an insult. It is a fact. The comp level is thin, 20. And like, they're not all full-time either, are they? Like, those 26, like some of them
aren't even part-time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but it looks with so, yeah.
Hey, Consuela, you want the fight on Friday?
1,000. So Canelo is the best of 1,277, and she's the best of 28 women who probably do boxercise 3 nights a week. So anyway, I thought that was pretty good from the Iceman. Ice baby.
Ice, the Goat. More icings than the Goats dished out this year anyway. Right, let's go through them. I liked Ebony Bridges, Mr. Loverman. I liked Floyd and the Metaskeletons. But I think this week, Bean's a good one. It's got to be Dan Raphael and the chair for me. Matty, who you going for?
Rest in peace, chair. I am with you. That chair is going to be remembered the way that Harambe is remembered.
Andy, who you go for?
I'm going for Eubank, mate, just for it's just so predictable. I've said it last night. I've said it for long enough. Right? This is the shit that he pulls straight out his daddy's fucking playbook. Risk versus reward, least resistance possible. And this is what he's trying to do with this fucking fight. Let's see if he responds to Jamel Herring, baby. I'm not saying Herring's any great and he's going to fucking win the fight, for example, and that, but you know what I'm saying? Why is he not fucking fighting or trying to get the Golovkin fight? Or Canelo? Or that fucking ilk? No, he's fighting up fucking wash bums. Fucking terrible, man. So predictable.
Getting it. Eubank for you then, Andy, yeah?
Yep, Eubank for me, mate.
Danny, who you going for?
There's only one winner this week, and it's that fucking dirty bastard Domingo for drinking sweat, man. That is next level filth. That is disgusting. Yeah, so it's dirty Domingo for me, mate.
All that would have been worse, Dan, was if Bean squirted a bit of ketchup into the glass.
Fucking hell.
Oh, mate, I'm honestly getting the urge to dry boat here, you know.
Rob, the decision is going to rest on your shoulders.
That was fucking, I don't even want to talk about that because it was fucking disgusting. That was. I was watching the clip unfold and I was like, is he what? What's going on? And then, man. Anyway, Jesus Christ. The Dan Rayfield one. I quite like someone to edit that with the, you know, that Rocky music that. When he's getting back up, I think that'll be quality. Like, so that was handy, especially when his face pops back into shot.
He's breathing heavy to like he just ran a mile away. He just dropped.
The worst thing about it is he looked so surprised. He was like, "Damn, I thought I was fucking trimming down a bit. I'm not fucking burying that chair." Jesus Christ. So yeah, but the 7 million from Benavidez that he's looking for fighting Bobo Andrade, man, that's hard to top. I don't know, like it's fucking. Give it to Dan. I give it to Dan just for fucking comedy effect.
Give it to Fat Dan. Good stuff, Rob. Rob has spoken. Congratulations, Fat Dan. You're the Belly of the Week winner for episode 462. Just before I hand back over to Matty, thanks to everybody who's dropped in the super chats tonight. Got a little list going on here. to the Dr. FMG, Ricky Graville, Matthew Russell, Chris Lovejoy, Chris Burns, Joe Burns, Chilo35, and Terry Woodfine, and a special shout out as well to the people who gave the super chats last night for the post-fight pod. David Coleman, Chris Burns again throwing out the cash, Pavel Senkov, S. Anthony, and 1SG UK to celebrate the Bellew of the Week there, Matty. Take over straight after we see Dan in all his glory. Going down as well. Going down, Dan.
That seems to be throughout boxing right now. Everybody seems to be determined to protect that record. Sometimes when it stops big fights from being made. Right?
Yeah, with boxing, the always, with you. Almost the most important thing in is that once you take a loss, that the boxing fans seem to count you out.
No, he did the same thing.
What it should be about. It should be about the best fights are fast, the best fights happening, and if you take a loss, it's okay. But being able to bounce back and
God.
Did you hear what he said? Because you did the same thing a few months ago. He's trying to fat shame somebody.
Yeah, shut up, fatty. You fucking did it as well. Don't look at me like that.
Did you catch that before?
To be honest, I think the Americans are a wee bit too nice, because see if that happened in the UK, that would have been an absolute ripping out of the fireplace type fucking banter. Without doubt, man. He's getting destroyed off his mates.
You know what's amazing is in that video, Dan Raphael hit the canvas more times than Amir Khan did against Kell Brook, technically.
It never got me down, Ray. He said to the chair, was like, yeah, you reckon?
Imagine if it never got up, though. You need to fucking bring in a hydraulic lift for the fire brigade. Call the fire brigade. Call the fire brigade.
Andy, you were talking about that fleece, right? What they should do is they should burn it when he goes, because that'll heat a state for about a month. Really.
Jesus fuck.
Well, we're
He
running
sells
about
them,
energy
doesn't he?
crisis.
Doesn't he sell them like merchandise? I think he sells them fleeces, you know.
You can get a 2-for-1. You can get a bag of Ebony Bridges socks and a Dan Raphael fleece. In the metaskeleton, in the metaverse.
Oh, you dirty bastard, man. Get the fuck. Come down, you
Dom Ingle wouldn't want to chuck in that out.
Fuck me.
Jesus Christ, man.
Who's buying any fleeces, by the way? They sell anything, wouldn't it? For fuck's sake. Who's buying any fleeces?
I've got a bit of a strong stomach when it comes to like debauchery and that type of shit, man. You start
You're
drinking,
shocking no one there.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're drinking like literally right off the t-shirt. I seen Sergey Kovalev fucking doing it yesterday as well on Facebook. So I actually even sent it to Domingo. So I don't know if he's actually fucking got in touch with fucking Kovalev yet for doing the same shit.
Drain out the fleece, Andy. Drain out the fleece.
Oh, dirty fucker.
As long as he doesn't get chicks to pee on him and stuff, I guess.
He's probably got more food than
that's
that.
his business, though.
All right, Maddie. Like, we were going okay, man. We were doing okay tonight. Like, fuck's sake.
Probably more food than that fleece than that's been on the menu.
We're still on, man. We're still on here.
Yes, we are, Rob. Yes, we are. And I would like to thank everybody on the panel today. I'd like to thank Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson, Rob Kelly, Danny Young, Ozzie Smith. We're going to be back next week to review all of these fights, give you a quick preview of the Okoli fight before that happens. We might come a little bit early. We haven't decided yet. Just throwing that out there. Maybe prepare your calendars. It's a possibility. And we're also going to be previewing the Roman Gonzalez Julio Cesar Martinez fight, as well as the Ramirez Pedraza fight happening a week from Friday as well. Until then, I was your host, Matt DiGianardo, and y'all have yourselves a wonderful evening.
We'll never forget.
Ja, dat is gedaan.
Go to move! We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't it? 7-year ain't it? I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, simple as that.